By the way, what an incredible nickname. I know we've covered a lot of great sports nicknames on this show. Apparently, Ricky Henderson was nicknamed the Man of Steel, as in Steal.
That's dope.
That is incredible.
That's dope. He earned every bit of that.
Ricky Henderson is also the guy who got paid $1 million like in one check and thought it was so cool that he framed it and never like cashed it.
Oh, that's the dude?
And
that's the one you talked about. Yep. Now that's a callback to our show.
The Oakland A's were just
accounting error.
They had a $1 million accounting error at the end of the fiscal year and were like, what the f happened?
So he stole it more ways than one. They stole their sanity. Oh man, I feel like I'm out of practice, but I'm gonna give it a go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all around the world, we give you another ripping edition of the Dan vs. D Sports and Stuff podcast with the initials DVD, as in DVD player. I'm your player, D with 2 E's, and always sitting beside me is
Dan with an A-N.
Dan, the man he can. What is going on, man?
I'm kicking it,
Bars.
man. Yeah. We got a fancy like 2 mic set up here, so it's like we're on the radio.
Yo, and also we're recording live from like I feel like that lineman that was like called off the street to play on that Sunday Night Football game a couple years ago for the Giants. Yeah. He was like, "Hey, I'm so and so straight off the couch." Yeah. That is us. That is us today. And reason for that, we will get to that later on in the show. So just to build up some anticipation there for you to wonder why that is.
Anticipation. Normally, you're the one that sings.
I just followed your lead on that one. See, I think I'm rubbing off on you. So, this is a musical show, man. You're the music man. So,
as covered last time, we are in our 7th year of doing this shit. So,
are we gonna have a 7-year itch?
I think we already do.
Oh, damn, man.
Maybe. I don't know.
We're like the equivalent of like a married couple. 7-year itch.
If there was a kitty around, it would be the 7-year scritch.
Wow, man.
But yeah, no, we're back.
And better than ever or the same? Yeah, whatever, somewhere in between?
To follow up on our comment from last time, I think, or not comment, but our discussion from last time, I think we're living our words and we're maintaining our own habit and coming back to things that are awesome.
Yeah. And even when we're like stumbling or even when we stumble or fall, we always get back up. So
and come back for more.
That's right. Please, sir, can I have some more? More? Of a twist that, man.
Yeah. No, I was thinking of a Tupac line and I can't remember how it exactly goes, but it's something like if you fall, stand tall and come back for more.
And as you mentioned that, I'm thinking of
I think that's keep your head up.
Yeah.
Keeping your head up.
Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will be brighter. There we go.
Great song.
And also slipping from DMX. I'm slipping, I'm falling, can't get up. No, I'm slipping, falling. Now I got to get up.
I actually don't think I know that song.
So I can tear stuff up. But
it's DMX, so I know it's good.
Oh yeah, that is a song for real. That's a good one. So
so we've got a great show for you tonight.
Oh yeah, it's always a great show.
We're into October now, and so we're about
so being our basic white girl mode, because I've been drinking like a bunch of like pumpkin spice lattes. They're delicious.
Getting the PSL on.
Yes, for real.
We're into October, so we're about, I guess, a quarter of the way now through football season. So I think this will largely be our sort of NFL impressions episode. We've got a couple other things to hit on,
and also the baseball playoffs
in baseball
for October,
which I super care about.
Same. I'm just curious to see, like, I'm just here to see what the what Shohei does in his first ever playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's must see TV, baby.
Yeah, it's not to jump too far into that, but Mike Trout has only played in the playoffs one time, and it was getting swept by the 2014 Royals, and I think he had like one hit in that series.
Well, at least it wasn't like at least it wasn't like a wild card series where it was just like 1 or 2 games. Because then they because before this updated format, didn't they do like a one game, like a best of one for like the people who were like on the outskirts of the playoffs?
For many years, it was the original format that was, I think, instituted in like the 90s. There were 4 teams. There were 3 division winners in each league, and then a wild card. Then, at some point, I think in the 2000s, they changed and they added a second wild card, and the 2 would basically do a game 163 and like a one-off game.
I liked that at that time.
And I remember because I think 2015 Pirates or something were super, maybe 16, I don't remember, but they were super star-crossed. That was the year that 3 teams in the NL Central won over 97 games. And one of which was the Pirates, who, have like historically been a horrible franchise. And that was like when Kutch was really good.
Man, that was my dude.
Yeah, he was great.
With the dreadlocks. I think once he cut his hair off, he was like Samson. His power went away.
Yeah. But so that was also the year that Jake Arrieta just randomly went on this insane run of like scoreless innings. And he had like under 2 ERA over like the last 3 months of the season or something, and like carried the Cubs into the playoffs.
I was going to say, I remember him from the Cubbies.
And they started him. They lined him up to start in the wild card game.
Did he get destroyed?
No, he absolutely completely shut down the Pirates, and they couldn't do anything. And that was basically the end of that team. And I can't remember the dude's name, but there was a long-haired guy on the Pirates that like struck out an Achilles at bat or something and like melted down in the dugout during that game because it was just so frustrating trying to hit Jake Arrieta.
Wow.
Anyway, these are Dan's deep cuts from like 9 years ago.
Baseball historian, ladies and gentlemen, for real.
Yeah. Things like that just live rent free in my head forever, so I have to share them.
And didn't you say 2016?
I think it was the year before the Cubs won the World Series. That would have been 15.
Man.
Because I think Arrieta was just like okay the next year when they made the World Series run. But anyway,
I love that Cubs. I just wanted that so badly for my brother. I'm glad they did win that chip and then end the curse. And then every one of y'all could leave Steve Bartman alone.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
and although rightly he wanted nothing to do with that, which I wouldn't either if that were me, because that was that really was like, in like the early age of the internet, that was like basically somebody being doxxed and then subjected to harassment by just random people on the internet.
Yeah.
And that is horrible.
That is. He's better than me, but if I was him, I would have been tempted to like go on like all the interviews and stuff and get paid with paid appearances and stuff.
Yeah.
To turn my pain into profit.
Yeah. No, I mean, isn't that basically what every artist does? Like, of any kind?
I mean, yeah. / influencers.
No, there's an amazing line from a Jerry Cantrell song from his solo album that nobody remembers, where he says,
"No one remembers.
Now you're a star making a living milking scars." And that's some hard shit.
That is some real shit.
Yeah. Anyway. So we've got, I think we're going to largely sort of cover the NFL in this segment. So we've got, I think probably the place to start is like before the season, like high profile retirements. So,
yes. And it doesn't get more high profile than, I mean, we have 2 names in mind, but like the highest profile one's easy, Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Like that, because like I thought about him because we made a reference to him about like like his legs being bigger than our bodies or something like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, like
one man record.
I don't even think I'm not even going to bother Pro Football referencing him because I don't think stats.
You don't need it.
I don't think stats really quite tell the full story of just how dominant of a player he was.
He has the stats anyway.
And he does have
without
stats.
even looking at it.
He has a ton of sacks.
We don't need to fact check that. He's got the Hall of Fame numbers.
But it's also worth noting that like defensive tackles typically don't get high numbers of sacks. That's
not their role.
Warren Sapp did back in the day, but like it's very rare.
But is it like based off of the defense you play, like 3-4 versus 4-3? Because remember, Big Vince played like in the 3-4.
Yeah, if you play nose tackle in 3-4, your job is to tie up offensive line, like multiple offensive linemen on every play.
Stuff in the run.
Yeah, you're right, and like clear up lanes for the linebackers to tackle.
Yeah. And obliterate stuff for real.
Yeah. But, if you're like, I guess a 4-3, like pass rushing DT, and that's not the only thing he did. He wasn't just a pass rusher.
He did it all.
Yeah, he did everything.
It's like you ran away from him.
Yeah, he stopped the run.
And blocked him double every time.
Remember, I'm actually going to pull it up here and we'll just edit out me searching YouTube. But to describe what happened in this play, since you're not watching the video, yeah, this was the last play of Super Bowl LVI, whatever that is, 51? 61? 61? 51? I don't know.
56?
It doesn't matter.
56?
Yeah, you're right.
Yep,
you're right. 56. Wow.
I had to remember my Roman numerals. Thank you, Simpsons.
Yeah, that was the last play of Super Bowl 56 between the Rams and the Bengals, and
it was a good one.
Yeah, the Rams were in a 4-3 defense. The Bengals were driving to potentially win the game.
Mm-hmm. They need to keep the drive alive. That was just like 4th and 1 or something.
Something like that. Yeah, and
they just needed a yard.
And yeah, Burrow had Chase down the field wide open on this play. So Donald is they're in the 4-3, and Donald is the right defensive tackle if you're looking towards the offense.
Mm-hmm.
And literally he's on a guard, the left guard, and he like the dude doesn't even slow him down. He just goes right past him and gets to Burrow almost immediately and destroys the play. And
like a revolving door.
And then he got up and walked down the field pointing to his ring finger.
Oh, I thought he was sprinting. Was he walking or sprinting?
Whatever, yeah, sprinting.
But that's an iconic moment.
Yeah.
And like, even if you want Cincinnati to win, like I was one of those people, you had to feel that energy and just that relief for Aaron Donald. All the hard work he put in, all the heartbreak he went through to finally get to that mountaintop.
He was a St. Louis Ram for quite some time.
Yeah. So when he did that, I felt that when he pointed to that ring finger, because I'm just like, yeah, I want the Bengals to win because they might not ever get back here, but damn it, you deserve that, man.
Yeah, and we know
Aaron
from
Donald.
having watched this stuff for a lot of years that like there are tons of guys that are like sometimes championship level players for like many years on end and then just never actually win the title.
Like their title is the Hall of Fame at that point.
Yeah, in a lot of cases. Yeah. I mean,
look at
Dan Marino, very famous for that.
Randy Moss,
which
they should have had it.
Should have,
but
we don't have to go there again.
Yeah, we won't. Yeah, that's been said and done to death. So yeah, let's not do that. Let's not and say we did.
Yeah, right. We don't need to re-traumatize ourselves. I'm kidding.
I have long since like overcome that though. So now it's just like I just look at it as being a meme from that. So anyway.
So I mean, yeah, he was the best. That was what everybody always said about him, is he was the best non-quarterback in the NFL. And some people even were like, no, he's just the most valuable player in the NFL.
Like
because of what he allows the rest of your defense to do by literally just being a one-person, just wrecking crew on run and pass plays on every play.
Yes, he was just a guy that just, you could probably make the case probably being more easily, if not the best, maybe a top 5 or even top 3 best defenseman ever.
Oh yes, I 100% agree.
Because it's just Aaron Donald's name was just synonymous to being the best. As you were saying, just the best, like non-quarterback.
Yeah.
Or even some people saying being the best player, period.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, Aaron Donald. Or some people maybe look at trying to find the next Aaron Donald. You know you have accomplished some greatness when people try to look for the next you.
Yeah.
I mean, and the dude just looked like he looked like one of those guys that would those advertisements I showed you of NFL Blitz. He looked like one of those guys that actually would eat like nails for breakfast without any milk.
Yeah. No, I mean the promo picture they had for the original XFL where there was like a football player with pads on running down the field like on fire. That was just a representation of Aaron Donald's career.
Can you even name a defender that dominant? I mean, you got guys that come to mind like J.J. Watt.
I was going to say J.J. Watt,
Reggie White,
and probably T.J. Watt.
Yeah, T.J. He's already there, but he's still just adding to his resume at this point.
Yeah, we don't know with T.J., but like J.J. Watt, I mean, really,
J.J. was a beast.
He was amazing. He had a couple of 20-sack seasons, I believe. But
and wasn't he like the first ever unanimous winner of a defensive player of the year?
I think he was.
And did he do it like twice, being unanimous?
I believe so, yeah.
I know he won it too. I know he won like a back-to-back.
But I mean, his peak was like much shorter than Aaron Donald's because he just got derailed by injuries later on and then a physical decline, as every athlete has at some point. But Aaron Donald was still
Aaron Donald never
amazing even in his last season.
He never really took that many injuries though.
No, he basically always played.
I don't know how he did it.
Incredible.
I just don't know how he did it. I mean, he probably had his nicks and stuff like that, but I don't remember him having I think he had like one serious injury at one point during like the twilight of his career, and I think he was out like multiple games I think he was out like a half season maybe. I think
something.
I think it was like his second to last season or something.
Yeah, I think the Super Bowl hangover season probably.
I think it was because I think that's when like they just got zapped by injuries.
Yeah, Stafford too got hurt.
Shoot, they get zapped now.
Yeah, they are.
Puka, no.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was just he was the best for almost his whole career, and absolutely first ballot unanimous Hall of Famer. All that stuff is a lock. And, he had some negotiability to, like I said, walk away more or less still maybe not in his prime, but in more or less the top of his game still.
I think he could have played a couple more years.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like he could have at least, I think he could have did the journeyman route like for 3 more years. He could have played 1 or 2 years with one team and then finish off his career like at one more stop.
Yeah, go ring hunting.
Yeah, or just play because of love. He seemed like a guy that played for the love of it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he would play for money and all that stuff because no, you're not playing the most dangerous sport, in America. That's not, in an octagon or a boxing ring without, getting compensated for it. But he looked like a guy that really just like he ate, slept, and breathed football, and he loved it.
Yeah,
and it's just like. And he seemed like a humble guy too. He was never really a vocal guy. It's like he let his performance do the talking.
Mm-hmm. He really like
I don't remember any type of like interviews or controversies him being involved in. The dude got his lunch pail and just went to work.
And I mean, he's like a good-looking guy with like a great smile.
I was gonna say
he 100%, if he'd wanted to do that, could have done like commercials and have been more famous, but he clearly didn't want to.
He he could have did the Cam Newton, just being a fashion guy.
Like J.J. Watt, by comparison, J.J. Watt was in a million commercials every year.
And he's still getting cake
and was
doing commercials
significantly
now.
more famous. Yeah.
He's doing commercials now, and he's got the what is it? The pregame show for CBS.
Yeah.
Yes, he's doing that now.
Yeah.
So so JJ's getting his money, but like Aaron Donald was just a guy that's just. He just knew how to play the game, and he excelled in every defensive metrics you could.
Yeah, just for fun, before we move on.
Football Reference?
Yeah, he played for actually only 9 years. I'm sorry, 10 years, 14 through 7 or 23. So he was only 32. He has defensive rookie of the year.
That's no question.
He first team all pro 7 years in a row.
When he started doing that, like his second year in the league or something.
Yep. And yeah, the season that he missed 5 or 6 games is the one where he didn't make it.
What was that? What year was that?
That was 2022. It was a hangover season.
Damn.
He has 3 defensive player of the years, 17, 18, and 20.
Was he like competing against like JJ Watt or something?
So, yeah. And was first team all pro his last season. Was supposed to be like his twilight of his career. He was still all pro. Yep. So he went out on top as he rode out in the sunset. Yep.
That is hard to do. And you said 10 seasons?
Yep.
Your 10th season being an all pro.
111. Oh no, that would have been his 8th total season out of 10. 8 seasons out of 10 he was first team all pro.
Goodness.
And had 20 and a half sacks one year. And 20,
in a year.
And 25 tackles for loss that same season. So literally almost twice a game he nuked somebody in the backfield.
And that's not including the hits too.
Yep.
So
it is interesting how like defensive lineman sort of position classifying has changed, because like he's listed as left defensive tackle, then right defensive end, then right defensive tackle, then right defensive end again, then just defensive tackle, then left defensive tackle.
That's it. They just don't know what to assign him. He's just there, just wrecking stuff.
Yeah,
he's just a wrecking ball.
Position DT, and he played at apparently 280 pounds.
And
pretty much
quick?
all muscle. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron Donald, man. It's like you knew you was in for a long day because of him.
Yep.
I mean, what is there to say about possibly the greatest defensive player to ever play the game?
I think you tip your hat and wait for the Hall of Fame speech.
Raise the glass, man.
Oh, yeah.
For real.
Pour one out.
Man.
Okay. I think the other big one was Mr. Nick Foles, who I think we all know by a different name.
AKA, like, we're going to count it down. 3, 2, 1. Big Dick Nick. And I learned that first from you. Yeah. about the AMA.
Yeah, so the story behind that is I believe his teammate Connor Barwin, this would have been his first stint with the Eagles.
Wasn't Barwin like a tight end or something?
He was a linebacker.
No, he's linebacker. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But he did a Reddit AMA, and someone asked him who has the biggest dick on the team, and he said Nick Foles.
Like, did he say like Nick Foles? I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
I guess.
And that led to Eagles fans and fans across the NFL referring to him as Big Dick Nick for the rest of his career.
And YouTubers too.
Yeah. And, a very weird career where he had one amazing season, like I think filling in for Michael Vick or somebody.
Yeah, he bought an extra year for Chip Kelly.
Yeah. He had it was, I think, the 2013 season, he had 27-2. And just seemed like, the Eagles have their quarterback. And then he
not really.
Kind of flamed out after that. And then ended up on the Rams, I believe, for a short time. Mm-hmm. And then was like considering retiring because his career had just completely gone off the rails.
Wait, did he like get paid? Did he get paid by someone like not the Chiefs, but like, did he get paid, to leave the Eagles or something?
Yeah.
And then he just hopping teams.
That's interesting. The dude only had 82 career touchdowns total. But yeah, so he went
like 5 of those came in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, he went to St. Louis, then he went to Kansas City.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
but like was a backup.
Who was he backing up? Alex Smith?
I think that would have been Alex Smith. That was the year before they drafted Mahomes.
And remember, Patrick Mahomes sat for a year.
True, he did.
And then you say like in the preseason that following year they saw him just sling it and be like, all right, you got to come in.
Yep. And then obviously everybody knows him because he went back to the Eagles in 2017 and was Carson Wentz's backup when Carson Wentz was a MVP candidate.
And then his knee exploded against the Rams.
Yep.
Gosh.
And then the funny thing is, at that point, everyone was like, oh God, the Eagles are screwed. Because Foles came in and like one of those games at the end of the year, the Eagles lost like 6-0. And everyone was like,
was that against the Giants?
Something like that. I can't remember.
Because that seems like a Giants game.
And I'm too lazy to look it up. But you know, everyone was like, including me, I was like, oh wow, they are screwed.
Like they're cooked.
Their offense looks so bad.
Anemic.
But then the playoffs started and he just went on an all-time run over those 3 games.
Sometimes you got to catch fire, man, at the right time. And that was the quintessential example of that, man. Yeah,
and I mean, he had the game of his life in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady.
Tom Brady threw for 500 yards and lost.
Yep.
And then also when we benched
that was the Malcolm Butler game. But yeah, I remember watching that game and it was like, you know, Brady was just absolutely tearing it up. And
he's the one that gets the turnover.
Yeah.
I think Foles might have turned over once or something, or they might have fumbled, but they didn't really matter.
Even before Philly, I kind of knew it was over when at the end of the first half, he just literally just kind of like closed his eyes and just threw it to the end zone, and Alshon Jeffrey came down with it, and I was like, we're not beating this guy. If he's doing that, we're not beating him.
Yeah, but it wasn't like Eli Manning like that.
No.
But it was just like, that's just Alshon.
But yeah, it was a sick throw and a sick catch.
And then
and it's like, yeah, if they're playing like this, it's not going to happen.
And when you say Philly, do you mean by the special?
The Philly special. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I remember one episode, you're like Philly special, blah blah blah. Like, so yep. whatever. But like, and then we tried the same thing, and then Braves like, whack.
No, so that was the thing. That was the like narrative flow of that game. Is they did the trick play. They got too cute, and they did the trick play to Brady earlier in the game. And then, the Eagles did the same play at the end zone and scored.
Oh, so we tried to do it first?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I don't remember. I thought it was the other way around.
No.
Dang.
So he like upstaged Brady doing that too.
I mean, the dude was like, he do got a 99 rating card in Madden Ultimate Team for that Super Bowl version of himself.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Like the dude, like it's so weird. Like he had a mediocre career, but like he just like went Super Saiyan that playoffs.
He did.
And can you think about this? Like, afterwards he went to Jacksonville. He got hurt the first game or something. They paid him that money. Then they had Minshew Mania. Then they ditched him. He went to like, I think the Bears afterwards. And then he went somewhere. Where did he go somewhere after that? Or did he just retire after a Bear?
He went to Indy.
That's right.
Season.
Indy.
And was 0-2.
Yeah. But yes. And we've talked about this like off the mic. Like, yeah, he was like, yeah, he was a really mediocre player. But here's the thing though. I think I'd rather have a mediocre career and have the longevity and not the brain damage and have the story and the ring to prove that I beat the GOAT. I upstaged the GOAT. I didn't have to be the superstar. I didn't have to be the man. Yes, people might say, hey, I'm like all this lost potential what could have been. Shoot, man. He's like probably married, and they can have a couple kids, has a big dick, and he has a Super Bowl ring. And he made his money. What more as a football player, what more could you want?
Yeah.
And most people don't even get a chance to sniff the Super Bowl. And he showed up and he balled out.
He did.
And not just balled out, he was the man.
And also now, so he's a member of, I think, 2 very exclusive clubs. One, there are only 2 football players ever, 2 quarterbacks,
2
ever to beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. He's one of them. And I think there's only a handful of times that a backup quarterback has like tagged in and won the Super Bowl.
Brady was one of them. He was a backup.
Yeah,
he was like a fourth string, wasn't he? At one point,
he was.
No, he's 4 years string.
He was
year
second
before.
string that year, but yeah, his first season he was fourth string.
Remember, he was behind Rowan Davey.
Yeah. And I think like it was the 1990 or 91 Giants that beat the Bills on the Scott Norwood missed field goal. That was I forget the guy's name, but that was a backup quarterback.
Oh man, I can't
tagged
think
in for Phil Simms.
Yeah, that's right.
But like that team was a defensive team. They were primarily defense. It wasn't like
we're talking like the 90s version of like the Ravens.
Yeah.
True, like the archetype of what the Ravens were built to be like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's other examples of like I remember trying to like Google like lists and I just found like a bunch of like crappy like engagement farm type sites, but it was like there's this fun lists out there of like the worst quarterbacks to ever win a Super Bowl. Everybody always is going to point out Trent Dilfer or Brad Johnson, who just kind of like rode the coattails of an amazing defense.
Well, they made they be fair though, they made the throws when they had to. You could be a quarterback and like put your defense behind the 8 ball. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
So mediocre at best, but no, they weren't like piss poor quarterbacks or nothing. They're still pro quarterbacks. They just did what they were asked to.
Yeah. No, the 2000 Ravens, they were like, the offensive guys were like, they knew the defense was that good that they were like, they would go out there and be like, all right, guys, we really just kind of have to make like one big play to win this game.
Didn't they have like Shannon Sharp on there?
Maybe.
Yeah, they had Shannon Sharp for that, and I think on that team. And then they had Jamal Lewis.
Yeah, Jamal Lewis, the running back, the 2,000-yard rusher.
Yeah, just run the football, play some tough defense.
But yeah, no, I agree with that. I think, it's even somebody who has like a journeyman career, I think it's something to like.
It's the greatest journeyman career ever.
I think, yeah, it's got to be one of the greatest. And I think you see that more in like baseball.
Yeah.
Where like a guy will just kind of bounce around and then just randomly like figure it out for 1 or 2 seasons and then just go nuts and like almost win the MVP or whatever.
Man. Was like Miguel Cabrera? Wait, I know he was always good.
No, Cabrera was just consistently amazing his whole career. So yeah, I think I obviously am like salty as like a Patriots fan, but like dude had a great career. He had one of the all-time great performances in a championship game, and he beat Tom Brady. So what else can you say?
Like, keep in mind, there's some people who have never beat Tom Brady, and he beat him on the biggest stage. It's like he beat him on WrestleMania. Like, for real. Like, and the thing is,
came in with the steel chair.
Yes, an RKO out of nowhere. But it is what it is. Like, us being Pats fans, like, I was salty by it. From time to time I can be, but I just marvel behind the awesomeness of just how hard that is to do what he did. Like, in that time, because on the biggest stage of them all, like, a lot of players melt. And he was a guy that was like, he just said like, hold my beer. I got to ball out.
Yep.
And then when he finished balling out, he took his beer back and then took a celebratory swig, man.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he had a mediocre career, but it's the greatest mediocre quarterback career I've ever seen.
Yeah. That is the best way to describe it. The best mediocre quarterback ever.
As long as you're the greatest at something that's not like on the downward trajectory, you did something right.
Do we care enough about Mac Jones?
We can talk about him because I want to get your take up, because for me, this was like a mismanagement of like just nothing but hubris and ego. Putting the right systems in place is everything. You had him playing at a Pro Bowl level. We had your offensive coordinator. He goes on and gets a new job. Okay, that's fine. He deserved getting a new job. He's not a great coach at all. Not even a good coach. Not even an average coach. Josh McDaniels sucks as a coach. That's not about him. But it's instead of getting a new offensive coordinator, you get a defensive coordinator who, by the way, after that Super Bowl against the Eagles, lost his touch. And you get a special teams coach. None of them had titles as offensive play callers. Who in the hell thought that was a good idea? Belichick, who plays four-dimensional chess, thought that was a good idea.
Bill genuinely
fucked that up.
He just clearly was like, I don't really care that much at this point. I just want people I like around. And that's really all there is to it. Like,
I mean, didn't Mike Vrabel do something like that and they still were like productive?
Vrabel?
Yeah.
When he was coaching the Titans?
Yeah. I heard something about like, YouTube again, but like from Here Dayton Tree, he got fired eventually because like, he put his like his buddies out there and they fell flat.
Yeah. I don't know the details of that situation, but
Todd Downey was not a very good offensive coordinator. So but that made me really upset because it was just like you had plenty of opportunities to believe in this kid. And all you did was like, you said, hey, this worked very well. Let's not do that in spades and mess with his confidence. And then out of something that wasn't his fault, put him on a short leash. And then you mentally beat this kid's mind and confidence down, benching him, putting him back out there, benching him. He should not have been benched for no Bailey Zappi. Not even like once okay to kind of like, hey, I got like a pitcher. I got to pull you.
It was that bizarre Monday night game where Justin Fields and the Bears came in and like steamrolled the Patriots.
I remember because I was thinking we were gonna have an easy win. I'm like, hey, I went to the house, my parents' house, and like watched the game with my brother. I'm thinking like I'm gonna and then we're the ones that get wrecked. I was happy for my brother though, and I was happy for Justin Fields. We'll talk about him in, like either in this episode or another time because that's another situation there. But yeah, I think that's probably the angriest I've ever been about the Patriots. Of all the stuff they've done, that was the one that broke the camel's back because I knew you ruined this kid's career. And a lot of the stuff was not on him. Yes, certain things, making boneheaded throws and stuff like that. But he was not like that in year one.
Well, so here's the thing.
And Bill O'Brien was in the third year, but he just cussed at him and everything.
Yeah,
it was over.
Work. But I would also say that I don't think at any point, even when he was drafted, Mac Jones was even like a top 15 like talent in the NFL. And you probably do need to be like top 10 in talent to like actually win the Super Bowl.
He could have at least been an Alex Smith guy.
Maybe.
But like
but my point being is that I think his ceiling was probably not as high as maybe we thought at first. And I mean, he came in and he had an elite, one of the better play callers of the last 15, 20 years, basically propping him up the way that Kyle Shanahan props up Brock Purdy.
But here's the thing. Look at the weapons he had to work around. Nada.
Not a whole lot.
Except for Kendrick Bourne.
There was a lot of smoke and mirrors on that offense. And they were like
Jacoby Myers, who we foolishly let go.
And it's also worth noting that year they had a really good defense and like a sort of above average offense. Like they were never at any point like world beaters.
No.
And then they caught a heater and beat up on some bad teams and like, won that game where they scored 50 points against Urban Meyer's Jaguars.
that team was an anomaly.
And then they like fell apart towards the end of that season. Because remember, they were the number one seed at one point. And they were 9-3. And then they kind of fell apart towards the end of the year.
And then the Bills owned us.
The Bills came in and then absolutely just, it was like, oh, right, we're playing against a real team now.
Wasn't that year? Wasn't that the year when he only threw like threw three passes and completed two?
Yeah, there was the 2 for 3 game.
The win game.
The win game where they beat the Bills on like, it was like a primetime game.
It was like Monday night.
It was like yeah.
I remember, and you see like this little smirk on like Belichick's mouth. They know we're gonna run it, but we can do it anyway.
That was maybe Bill's like swan song as like, one of those Belichick all-timer kind of games.
That was other than the Super Bowl against the Rams.
It was a QB stat line from like 1935
or a Tim Tebow game.
Yeah. That's probably the appropriate number of times that Tebow needed to throw in the games he started.
Run the triple option, do the Navy or Georgia Tech game plan.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, that was also Josh McDaniels like massively propping somebody up who was not talented. But anyway,
so are we extra harsh on McDaniels because he has made like
no, McDaniels has like horribly flamed out as a head coach multiple times and probably won't get another chance after this. So no, he was never meant to be a head coach.
But the fact
he was an amazing play caller and absolutely like he I think that's an underrated partnership was him and Brady all those years.
But the fact that he was able to like turn like whatever he had into something that involving Tebow, that deserves a ribbon.
Also, I think people have forgotten how insanely good Demaryius Thomas was.
Yeah.
That dude was the truth. R.I.P.
Yeah.
But it is funny. So, it's well established that we sort of had a maybe like 3-ish year hiatus on this show. And it's funny because that literally exactly bookended Mac Jones' Patriots career.
So it's like we didn't have much to talk about. So we're like moles and just like buried ourselves in the dirt until he was gone.
We're just digging tunnels.
Do you think, okay, this is a hot take. Do you think his career would have benefited if started out as a backup to Cam Newton?
Maybe.
Be given the Drake May treatment right now.
Maybe, but he, again, I think, Drake May is at least, just in terms of the talent, I don't think we know yet, but like Drake May's
got talent.
So far, like, that dude has an NFL arm, and like, Mac Jones was always a bit of a noodle arm, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I remember Rex Ryan called him like a pea shooter.
Yeah, kind of. And
he's like, "Are you kidding me? Yeah, if I'm running a defense, yeah, we're going after this guy. This guy don't scare us."
Yeah, and because I remember like listening to people talk about them that whole training camp because it was a competition between him and Cam.
Didn't like Cam give him the nickname Mac and Cheese?
Maybe
I remember that.
But Cam was basically shot at that point. I guess probably mostly because of his shoulder.
They also didn't give him any weapons.
Well, yeah. But like,
Joey Elman's best career game in terms of yardage was with Cam Newton.
Yeah, it was
against the Seahawks.
Yep, that was we thought Sunday we had football. Something there.
We did, and then he got COVID. And I think and I really do feel like at least my wife mentioned that maybe COVID might have affected him more than what was.
I was going to say
he
got COVID
because after that.
And he was never the same.
Because we could have threw like a cardboard box. Well, actually, no, we couldn't. Like, because we had like Brian Hoyer come in and back up. And if we would have had Cam, a healthy Cam, like week 1 and 2 Cam, we would have beat the Chiefs. But,
probably, yeah.
Yeah, but whatever. So, but yeah. So, I guess maybe I'm just like more pissed off than you are with the trio of Mac Jones. Or maybe tell me your psyche behind that saga, man, because I'm pissed about it, and it'll always be like that one thing that's like one of the things that actually made me hate my team.
I mean, no, they absolutely it was horrible mismanagement the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, your points about Joe Judge and Matt Patricia, well taken. That is entirely correct, takery, and I have no issue with it.
How does Patricia keeps getting work somehow?
Sucks. And I mean, the team has not been well managed in quite some time.
Yeah, you can't draft a wide receiver to save your life for we've been saying this for like 15 years. Y'all can't draft a first or second round talent wide receiver to save y'all lives.
And yeah, and I just think it was also just like Bill was like starting to slip towards the end there. He was just kind of, he
was like the geriatric in like an evolving game. He
kind of lost his fastball, and although I mean his defensive game planning up until the very end was still very good, because they had a good defense even last year. I guess I don't know. I think my thing is I just don't think Mac Jones was that talented to begin with. So really, all that happened is we just wasted time.
Mm-hmm.
And we did the correct thing last year, and we bottomed out, and we took a swing. And I think it's important. Sometimes you have to take a swing on talent. And we don't know with Drake May yet. We don't. But the dude has the talent. And it's now a question of whether or not he's going to develop.
He should not, by any circumstances, play this year. Because the games I have watched with Jacoby Brissett,
their line
he has
so
had
bad.
The hell beat out of him. It looks like it's like every other hit he takes, he gets up grimacing.
Yeah.
And
we do not want a David Carr situation here.
It's a visceral reaction, and maybe it's partly because one black man to like looking at another black man getting the hell beat out of him on the field. That doesn't help. So it's just gives like that extra visceral feeling because I know how good of a person he is. Does he have the stuff like a high ceiling? No, he don't. But he's a productive player. And people are like, "Oh, he sucks. Throw the other guy in." Do y'all want a situation worse than Mac Jones? Because that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So by no circumstances should you start, because they threw him out there in garbage time and he still got sacked twice.
He still got beat up. Yeah.
So no.
And again, I think that points to the mismanagement. And like Elliott Wolf and company have had like 3 years to fix this offensive line, and they still haven't been able to do it. Yeah. And they keep putting it off, and they keep trying to paper over it.
And some of the guys that we
have Dante Scarnecchia, and it's like he was one of one, and the vast majority of teams actually have to have talented offensive linemen to have a functional offensive line, and they just don't want to do it.
And the players that we did have, they're performing elsewhere. That we did have on the line that were like at least serviceable or decent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think David Andrews he's out for the season, I think. That's all. Or he's going to miss significant time.
And I'm kind of curious for your thoughts on this, just the overall state of the franchise. So things have been very weird with this team for some time, but I think Bill's presence and the stability of his presence has kind of like papered over a lot of it. Mm-hmm. But like they really don't operate like a normal franchise.
No. Remember when Brandon Spice compared it to like we're working on a plantation?
Ooh.
Yeah.
But did he also come back after that?
Yeah. That's why you never burn bridges, kids, because that's why building rapport is important, because a place might not want you or might not be able to utilize your talents right. Never say, unless it's a really shitty working environment, never say never when you leave a job. Yeah. Put a 2 weeks notice in, and then you go into a place, because sometimes a job might not be what it's all cracked up to be, and then you could very well be crawling back. So if you can help it, don't burn bridges. Because I know some people who have not done, who have come back. I'll never come back to this place, and then they do multiple times.
Looking, in the words of Pink Floyd, looking beyond the embers of bridges glowing behind us to a glimpse of how green it was on the other side.
There you go. Or the grass is always greener where the dogs are Soundgarden. Ooh.
But a couple of things. So the team, obviously Bill was essentially the de facto GM for many years.
and it worked for a while.
And it worked for a while.
But he was
Brady. Very smart, but he also had very smart people in the front office, like Scott Pioli for a while. And
Pioli. That's a nice name, by the way.
A bunch of other guys that he trusted, that were great with scouting, and they were great at like identifying these little like wrinkles and market inefficiencies. Like there was one year where they like loaded up, one of the years like towards the end of the Brady era, where they like specifically targeted and loaded up on like $4 million a year veteran free agents, because they were just not seeming to get work, and just brought in a lot of guys again that could just kind of do a role.
Right.
So like they were great at stuff like that. So there's a bunch of things with the team now. So the team, it's something like they do that survey of players every year where they like rate their own organization on a bunch of different things. And the team is like, I think they got
F, D minus F.
They got like an F for like facilities.
Ew.
And all of that, and like
defense B plus,
something like that. And then like it was pretty obvious that like Bill and Kraft were like beefing a little bit at the end, even though they like had that awkward moment where they like showed up to the Brady roast and like took a shot together, but like clearly did not look like they wanted to be there.
Because didn't like Kraft want Brady to stay, and Bill was like, "Nah."
I don't really remember.
It's old news now.
Yeah, and I think well covered in our trailer teaser that is out there. If you're if you're somehow not subscribed, if you visit our YouTube channel, you get a 1-minute clip of us discussing Brady leaving the Patriots.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah. Give us precious engagement
and $1 donation so we can buy a candy bar.
$1 towards our Yeti Blue mics or whatever. No, we have better mics than that.
The snowballs. Gosh.
Anyway, but so it's like weird stuff. Like they targeted Calvin Ridley this past summer, didn't land him, and then Kraft was out saying, "Oh, apparently it's because his girlfriend didn't want to move here," and like that's just a weird thing to say. Like it just doesn't like. Why even put that? I mean, even if it's true, why even put it out there? Like, it just sounds like sour grapes, and also just being weird. But Kraft is a weird guy anyway. We know that. But like, but it's also like structural, organizational stuff. So like the team, so Bill was the de facto GM, right?
Yep.
He left.
Yep.
And Elliot Wolf was there, who basically stepped in and operated as the de facto GM. But they didn't like do a GM search in the way that normal teams do, where they bring in candidates, interview them, and have them draw up their plan for how they want the franchise to go.
They just kept it in house.
They kept it in house, but then they also didn't make him the GM. He was just filling in, and they like.
So he's a supervisor. He's just like he has the title, but like not the full extent of the power.
Sort of, but then it's like, because typically teams, the season ends, and then teams that like are firing executives are like immediately hiring new executives and going through that whole process. The Patriots didn't do that. They just waited and waited and waited and waited, and then the draft happened, and it's like, oh, I guess Elliot Wolf is just doing the draft too.
And then like a month before that, they were like, okay, we'll lift up Gerard Mayo to be the head coach.
Right, that was the other thing, is they didn't do a head coaching search. Gerard Mayo had it like written into his contract that whenever Bill left, he was going to step in and succeed him, like he's like the prince or something.
That was in the contract?
I believe it was in his contract.
So does he still have his agent or have an agent?
I assume he does.
Because if so, that was a strong negotiation tactics right there. You deserve a gold star, whoever agent you is for Gerard Mayo, if he does have an agent, because that is some baller stuff right there.
Yeah,
like, I just guaranteed you a better job for more money.
But it's like
you don't have to like wreck your brain for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they didn't do a proper GM search. They didn't do a proper coaching search.
I wanted an offensive coach.
And I mean, like Mike Vrabel was out there. He's a good coach.
Nobody wanted him for some reason.
Yeah, nobody hired him. Nobody hired Bill either. That's a whole other topic. But
well, that makes sense because you're over the hill old man. Vrabel, he made the Titans like exciting to watch.
Yeah, and somewhat relevant.
Yeah.
But anyway, they just don't seem like they operate as a normal franchise. And again,
is that a bad thing?
I think Bill's presence over the years like kind of distracted people from that it's just weird. I can't say that it's necessarily bad, because I mean, Elliot Wolf did the correct thing and took Drake May with the 3rd pick, took some receivers. Remains to be seen if they'll be good, but like he
go Polk.
Other than the offensive line, seems to have been addressing areas of need. So it's like, okay, good so far. So I mean, it's like, I guess maybe the process doesn't matter if the results are good, but like it's just odd is how I would describe it. So I'm curious for your thoughts on that, and like how you view the state of the franchise right now.
Well, you know more. I to be fair, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to like the details of the front office. That is your MO, and I give you props for like for the details on that. So for me,
it's honestly just that I listen to a bunch of other podcasts that cover this stuff.
Hey,
so
man.
I'm more or less just paraphrasing what I've heard other places.
Same, but knowledge is power, and that was quite an intellectual response and take you had. So appreciate that. So right now, Bill is like, he's the greatest coach to ever do it, and
Yes.
he's been giving us flowers. I'll give him another bouquet. With that said, and we've talked about this on the show in the past, even as the brilliance of Bill, he made a lot of mistakes. Benching, like something we mentioned earlier today, benching Malcolm Butler, doing like weird stuff like, when Jonas Gray had that 4-touchdown game on Sunday Night Football and we never heard from him again because I guess he was late for practice or something.
It was a meeting. He was late for a meeting.
Oh yeah, and Bill doesn't play that. So I give him that one. Okay. But still, like, other organizations ain't gonna do that. But
yeah.
Brady masked a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine any other quarterback that's not a Brady, a Manning, a Mahomes, a Breeze? I'll throw like Phillip Rivers in there. Like, your top 7 quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
You give any other quarterback the whiffs he had in the draft offensively, and I'm taking away like guys like like Julian Edelman, Jacoby Myers, like other guys like those late round gems they got. But like a lot of the draft, yes, is built with like late rounders. Like some of them, like you can find some great value, and like you can get superstars sometimes on late rounders or undrafted people.
Yeah.
But in general, your team is made or broken by the first 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah.
He could do it on defense, but on offense, and it pains me whenever we have like a primetime game and they would list the wide receiver draft woes, and you're like, oh, I remember him. Oh, I remember him. Oh, I remember him. Ooh, I definitely remember him. And just that long list of missed first and second round wide receiver draft picks. That ruins franchises.
Yeah. Who was the last big one?
Well, I will never forget it. N'Keal Harry.
N'Keal Harry.
That was the last high profile wide receiver drafted before Brady left.
Yep.
That was supposed to be the guy to help him stay.
And they whiffed on that pick.
Because what was it like? Terry McLaurin was on there. DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
They should have drafted DK Metcalf from him looking like a Greek god alone.
F1 McLaren.
Like AJ Brown.
AJ Brown. Yeah, you're right. There were some studs in that draft, and we missed all of them.
And they it made the Chad Jackson, Aaron Dobson pick. It made those innocent whiffs. That one,
although
that was the wall, because all those guys have. Oh, and Debo.
Yeah, Debo wasn't. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
There was 4 or 5 guys that you could have thrown. You would have been better off closing your eyes and throwing a dart at a dartboard, and would have had a better success. But you overthought it and got that guy, a guy that doesn't have blistering speed. Yes, he's a good jump ball guy, but he just didn't have it. Go ahead.
But that is so. It is funny that you said throwing a dart, because if you ever
Eli Manning it.
If you ever get even a little bit into like studying like investing and the stock market and stuff like that, the first thing people tell you is do not do stock picking, where in essence you go and you buy certain stocks because you think that stock will go up and beat the market over time or whatever. And it's like literally, they've done studies of this. Blindfolded monkeys have beaten professional investors at stock picking. That's how hard it is.
Wow.
So, yes.
And also, the draft is a crapshoot anyway, because it doesn't determine. Yes, you can draft all day about intangibles, hand size, blah blah blah, but like you can't every now and then you can see like, okay, where's their head at? Like, are they like, do they really love this game and all that? Because you don't know what the human element and variables are going to be like. You know, once they get in there, are they gonna train their butt off to be the best they can be? Or like, what if their confidence in shot and stuff? How do they bounce back from it? Like, maybe they don't bounce back from like, you know, things developing not going the way they are, and then they just don't fit or gel with the team and all that stuff. You know, or just be a bad, you know, organizational fit. It's just a lot. It's just, I mean, not going to tangent, but like, look at Trevor Lawrence now. He was deemed as like a generational talent.
He really looks like he's starting to lose confidence.
And he just got paid.
Yeah.
And he was already wavering. The last couple of years, they have choked. And last year, they just fell flat. Well, he was also injured, but like they didn't go nowhere. Then the year before that, the last game of the season, all they had to do was to beat the Titans, a weakened Titans or something like that. Actually, it might have been last year too, because it was like, they knocked them out of the playoffs. I think it was because it was like Derrick Henry's swan song or something.
Yeah.
Or no, it was at least them winning, like them going out, you know, on top. But like there was one where Jaguars just needed to win to get into playoffs, and they couldn't do it. They blew it.
Overdo it. Don't tell me you blew it.
Like to me, but to me, like, you know, when you look at situations like that, like we go to the draft. It's so easy to mess up.
Yeah,
it's so easy to mess up.
We'll cover it later, maybe, but like the Bryce Young pick, like it is legitimately very, very hard even to draft players with the first pick and have them be successful. So it's very difficult.
Yes,
Mahomes was drafted 10th. I mean, obviously, famously, Brady was drafted 199th.
Yeah, but there was reasons for that though, because like he did not have the arm and the athleticism like Mahomes. Mahomes was like you looked at him, yeah, he's definitely a top 10 pick.
Yeah,
Brady grinded his butt off and had the heart of a champion to be a champion.
Yeah,
that is like a 1 in what, like 30-year player.
No, and I mean, yeah, in Brady's case, like he got like jerked around in college and didn't really get to totally show what he could do. That's also part of it. I still think Mahomes is even a better example of like, Mahomes should have been taken 1 in that draft because he's going to be, he's already on that. He's on the Mike Trout trajectory where he's going to be top 3 like ever.
Mitchell Trubisky was drafted before him.
Mitch Trubisky was drafed, yes. The MVP. And
the kid, like, poor kid, he couldn't get his name right. But anyway, my thoughts about the Patriots. It's not a good product right now.
It's not.
And that's the thing. You was talking about like going back, episode 1. Yes, you want to see win the champ. You want to see like yourself just win the championship. You know, you do, but you want like an entertaining product, like for years to come. Now, since we started the podcast, and then fast forward 7 years later, they finally won that chip. But they put in the work and they made the decisions that other people couldn't make to make that a reality. Getting like Kristaps Porzingis and all those guys, getting Drew Holiday, who's become low key one of my favorite, players. He's like a Gruden grinder, if you will. But like right now, I just don't see. It's not even an entertaining product. Like
it's not.
It's like the last few years, with exception of the first year of Mac Jones, it is brutal watching the Patriots. Yes, it's entertaining because, hey, it's not a foregone conclusion we're going to win. But my God, is it painful. That Cincinnati game was an anomaly. But even then, that was a slugfest. Like
that's all they can
it's
do.
like I'm not having, like, I have fun when we make a good play. A play! Like, of all things, it's the most Patriot thing that happened this year. We get shellacked by the Niners, but you wouldn't know it. Like the common watcher, like a football fan or a football watcher, wouldn't have known that Joey Sly booted a 63-yard field goal.
He did.
At the half.
No, I get those like ESPN like push notifications for various like highlights throughout the day. So my phone is always like pinging on like a football Sunday or whatever. And yeah, it popped up, and it was the one Patriots highlight that popped up from that game.
And that's pretty much in a nutshell what it's been after year one of Mac Jones. That's what it. And then of course, let's not forget the Fumblerooski. Just go down and go to overtime. I think when that play happened, that was the point of no return. That's when, like, oh, wow, we really do suck. Like, hey, it's like, Ramondre gives it to Jacoby. Jacoby, he, like, chucks it back to Mac Jones, and then former Patriot Chandler Jones catches the football and just, like, stiffs arms like Mac Jones into the earth. Rumor has it his soul is still in that stadium, in that yard, and we lost the game. That would turn the page for it. Be like, okay, we're one of those teams now.
That was the reality check that we are not. Because remember, back in the day, it was like the other team would always do that kind of shit. Like the famous Colts play where they lined up in that weird formation and they weren't supposed to snap the ball, and then they did.
Brandon Bolden just like making like a tackle like you would like if you was like with the new kickoff rules. It was kind of like that. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna give you a hug and just like rest you down.
It's like back in the day, I used to play around with Madden where I would like sometimes take a defensive player and like just move him past the line of scrimmage into the backfield before the play started. Cause like the refs, like, it was a video game. The refs wouldn't like whistle it until the play started. So you could have a play start where like your linebacker is just directly in front of the quarterback and the quarterback gets the ball and just immediately gets sacked.
You gotta watch the snap.
But then it's a penalty.
You gotta watch the snap.
Yeah. But and like, it was like the real life version of that.
Shout out to Mad 94.
You gotta watch the snap. But no, I agree. Like now the Patriots are a team that like makes those kind of plays. And it isn't the same anymore.
We are that. We have become that team. The one thing we pride ourselves that we weren't. We are that. We have become that team.
And it's like, again, it's that same like process results thing where it's like all the weird stuff about the way the franchise is run and all that stuff. It's like you can justify that stuff as long as you're having success.
And winning cures most things or heals most things.
Yeah. Supposedly, and I can't remember the particulars of this, but apparently years ago, somebody, maybe at like the owners' meetings or something, who I guess didn't like Belichick, said to Kraft, like, hey, what's it going to take for you to fire that asshole? And he said 8-8.
Hey.
And, yeah. I mean, he was probably joking, but like, yeah, kind of. Like, it really is. Like, if you're having success and you're winning, it really does just cure everything. And everything seems normal. And even people start looking at your stuff and are like, oh, yeah, we need to do it that way. It's like when the Warriors were winning all the chips and everything, and
everybody hated it that who weren't part of the organization or weren't fans of that organization.
Well, yeah, but like Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, was like going around saying, "Oh, our process is like light years ahead of everybody else. We're just way smarter than every other NBA team, and that's why we're winning."
I mean, to be fair,
because he wants to take all the credit.
But to be fair, though, that process was pretty good, especially compared to the quote unquote process that was going on in Philly. That Sam Hinkie got to put that obligatory name drop in there for real.
But it's like I don't even think he owned the team when they drafted Steph Curry. So, like, from his perspective, it's like,
but he did believe in him over time.
Thing did they do? They
didn't give up on
They
Steph
made
Curry.
The incredibly smart decision of having Steph Curry and Klay Thompson already, and then also having had Steph have an ankle injury at exactly the right perfect time to where they didn't have to pay him as much. And
they could
having the I guess not salary cap, but whatever, having the salary thing balloon just enough so that they specifically had enough room to then get Kevin Durant. And it's like,
which probably doesn't happen if they don't blow a 3-1 lead.
That too. So it's like, okay, you made the incredibly smart decision of like
getting
having
the best
Steph
player.
Curry and Kevin Durant. Like, why does that make your team smarter than every other team?
Now, to be fair, though, they could have easily just told Steph Curry to pack his bags because he was not a world beater his first couple of years, especially with the ankle injuries.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely
they did stick with him.
He showed talent when he played, and it was something like his first contract after he was in the league was, I think, 4-48 for Steph Curry, and that was like he won his first MVP on that contract on $12 million a year.
Ooh,
yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
And then he went back and was like, yeah, pay me.
Yeah, and obviously they did because he's a franchise icon and an all-timer. But
and he also made putting the ball in the basket without dunking cool again.
Yeah. But like
the basic premise of the game.
But my point in bringing all that up is just to say that, like, you know, everybody who has success, you know, and you see this all the time where, like, you know, famous singer, famous actor, whatever, will be like, oh, well, yeah, you know, my hard work and practice is what got me to where I am. And it's like,
I mean, part of it.
That is partially true because you maximized whatever, you know, natural abilities and then skills you developed.
Yeah, you got to have it first.
You know, LeBron James has absolutely, like, maximized every ounce of athletic ability that he was given.
He's 40 and he's still going to be able to do like a 360 dunk and will be able to play with his son this year.
But like, you know, obviously in those situations, you also get lucky and are fortunate. And nobody who is successful likes to credit their success to just dumb luck. And I get it because we all want to think that it makes us exemplary people.
Some of the best players that ever do it have some form of luck, because we've seen, how many times have we seen a generational talent or a possible talent that could go that was started out good or could have been great or could have been the greatest, but then an injury takes him out, or a wrong turn happens over here, or tragedy
they pass the ball to Matisse Thybulle instead of dunking.
You went there, ladies and gentlemen. I wouldn't even think about Ben Simmons.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's called a callback.
I'm thinking about football. He's thinking about Big Ben Simmons.
But yeah, that's really my point. Is like, you know, this is almost getting into like business philosophy or like organizational philosophy.
So does it go back to like who deserves more of the credit, Big Bill or Tom?
Tom.
Oh! Did you have a Freudian slip?
Well, that's almost like an entirely different topic that I think we should like dedicate a segment to.
We're gonna do it. No, we're gonna dedicate. Wait, we should call our shot here. We dedicate an episode.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like when you have wild success that is often, in many ways, largely attributable to luck. Again, the Patriots had the luck of like acquiring Brady with a sixth round draft pick, and
him like also taking less money or like backloading his contract to stay below a certain threshold of the salary cap to maintain a very competitive team.
Right, you have success, you win, whatever. And I think that can paper over like deficiencies in like your process and how your organization is run.
It did, and we're paying for those sins.
Where that saves you is when you're going through bad times. Like having that whatever organizational discipline or whatever is what can help bring you back when your organization is not succeeding. And to me, that's what the whole organization just doesn't have right now.
Yeah, because they put all their eggs with Bill and Tom. Now there's neither of them. This is a new era. Like, what do you do? Now you lost your identity.
Yeah.
What do you have now? I mean, other than having a defense, really, what is your identity? There's no identity on offense unless you're running the ball. But what is this team's MO? What's the environment? What's it? You have to start really from scratch now. So And that's something we haven't had to do in like 20 years.
Yeah. And I mean, the
20 plus.
There's other, recent notable examples of this where like, it's happening to the Warriors in slow motion where they are
no more Klay Thompson.
They're splintering, and now Klay Thompson is gone.
And then
at some point,
Draymond is he's slowing down.
At some point, Steve Kerr is going to be gone.
Mm-hmm. Steve Kerr's going to find another coaching gig though. If he doesn't retire
wants to
first.
Keep coaching, yeah, I think he might. I don't
he
see
wants
him
to coach.
just retiring.
He's gonna go the way of Popovich, man. He's gonna be like a Godfather coach.
So I was gonna bring up the Spurs next. The Spurs. So they had Tim Duncan and Ginobili and Tony Parker all those years.
That was like the closest thing to like a. It
really was
like
the NBA's version of the Patriots. Yeah. And Pop, who was pulling the strings the whole time. And the interesting thing is with them, it's like they had two Hall of Famers. Yeah,
like
all those
like Hall of Fame centers.
Those amazing players all kind of cycled out, and Pop just stayed and like coached the team through the rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have Wembanyama, and they're going to be good again.
I mean, like that. Can we just like call the Spurs Center U? They had the Admiral David Robinson. Then while they still had him, they get Timmy D,
who should have gone to the Celtics.
Yeah. And then now they're getting Wemby. And then before that, they had LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah, he was good too.
Yep.
He was more of a forward, but
true,
still.
But he's still a big man. But getting Wemby, it's just center U. Or just call them the center force.
I think it's also like
they're the center of the NBA.
The thing of luck being a major factor in success. They won the draft lottery the year that dude was in the draft.
It should have been the Charlotte Hornets.
It really should have. Yeah, and it really anyway. This is not an NBA segment, but yeah.
This is just on the couch. This is sports therapy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think we've beaten the Patriots to death at this point.
No, they deserve more. No. I want a better product. That's really well. And they're gonna have to start from scratch, and they're gonna have to figure out what they want to be now.
Yeah.
For the first time in 20 plus years. I hope they figure it out. But right now, I don't need us to win anything right now because we haven't done enough winning in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
But I want to see a productive and entertaining product. That's all I want now.
Well, like,
at least for now, I do.
I'll even take less than that. I just want to see them start to build something.
I just want to see them win a game. Playoffs.
I just want to see them like start actually building towards something.
And it don't seem like they are.
Maybe that's happening.
On the defense, maybe.
Same thing. I mean, the jury is still out on Mayo. I think Christian Gonzalez is very good.
Yeah, they need to keep him. I just don't want to take another like serious injury that knocks him out. For like the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've already down Jawan Bentley, and then without him, we have no pass rush. So
Christian Barmore too. It probably feels worse than it is, feeling like the team and franchise is just sort of directionless because they are. They did draft Drake May, and they do. And again, like I said before, like they've drafted some receivers, and they're trying. They are taking swings. They are trying to maybe build towards something, but I just, we're not, again, not to hammer that point again, but like we're not seeing results yet. So what else are you going to look to other than the process?
Right.
And the process, I'm skeptical. Let me just say that.
Right now, I think their strategy is because they didn't really go after like high end like free agents. It didn't feel like so.
Other than like Calvin Ridley, who's like is like just kind of mid at this point,
but would probably still be wide receiver number one for our squad.
Oh yeah, no, he'd be number one by like a country mile on our team. But that's also not really the role that he excels in.
Remember the possibility of getting Brandon Ayuk, and then he was like, nah.
Yeah.
But like, I guess we're banking on like developing, and we'll see on that. But like, we just have to wait and see.
It's time for a little detox, and joining us out of nowhere is our good friend and Dee's wife, Kacey, who I believe last appeared in episode 3.
Maybe 4.
I think it was 3 because 4 was football cookies.
Or maybe episode 5. But yeah,
because she
3,
was there for Prophet Ajasia, Sam Hinkie at yahoo.com.
and the greatest moment we ever had.
Literally, we really are
At
the band that catches lightning in a bottle in their first album and then spends the rest of their career trying to match it.
It didn't. I don't think it gets any better than that. No. Although the technical prowess has gotten better.
Oh,
and
yeah,
how we deliver the cast. So
everything, production, editing. I think we've gotten better too.
Yeah.
At, like just talking.
Yes, I do like the listening to old episodes. Is like a great. Just seeing like you see like the progress, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
So
what are we talking about?
Okay, so let me set the stage here.
Oh boy,
it was
a dark and stormy night.
I wish it'd be better than what I'm about to say. It was August 31st, 2024. I
feel like the Terminator music needs to do.
You could add that, but let's set the stage. So it was that date. I'm in now, mind you. Initially, I wasn't supposed to be here. I'm at the rec center. The local rec center here. A pickleball tournament's going on. A guy a couple of days ago called me, hey, this team had double signed up. They only needed one name, they had 2. Hey, you have a spot available. Do you want to play? You and a partner. Okay, short nose. Absolutely. I want to play because hey, pickleball has become like, one of my new loves in terms of sports. And
players play.
Yes, and I've played it for like off and on for like 6 years. But like the last year and I think the last year and a half, like is really when I was like more diligent and like being more consistent in playing and actually playing in tournaments. I had played in one before and, wasn't bad. Like got to about the semifinals there. And it was a fun time. Me and my partner was good. Had a different partner this time. We start out white hot. And then we run to probably the eventual champions, and they obliterated us, but it was double elimination, so we had one more loss to give. We go to the semifinals. So second time going to semifinals. We're playing against this tough team that's really tough, and we had beat them before in like a couple of days prior, but they had the upper hand on us, and were likely going to beat us. So they hit a ball, and it lands in play and then goes out of play. So I have until the ball bounces out of bounds.
Right. This is like tennis rules, basically.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So I try to do what I normally do, which is a routine play, and people have numerous times compliment me on my getting ability, just having a nice like first or second steps to be able. They think they have a 0.1, but I'm able to chase the ball down and return it. I sprint towards the ball, going ahead, starting to stretch out for it. I'm lunging, leaning to my right. I plant on my left foot, and I heard and felt a sound, and now. It felt like, the way I describe it felt like I ran into a metal pole. That's what it felt and sounded like. And I remember as going down, I was looking to see if I might ran into like the next court down's net or something. No, I was nowhere near it. So I knew something went horribly wrong. And
so just to drive that point home, so you heard it. Right.
Yes.
It made an audible sound.
Yeah. It went like something popped. Like it didn't go. It went like a thud. Like a thud. Like you would hit like a blunt object or something, or run into an object. But it was that my mind was clicking and like, yes, I felt like I hit like a metal pole, but no, there's no metal pole in sight. And that was like that. My mind was going to, it's like I got shot in the back of the leg and I'm thinking of Aaron Rodgers, and I'm thinking about all the other experiences I've heard about pro athletes, college and pro
Durant
athletes
in the finals. Durant in the finals.
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm thinking, oh shit. I was like, oh God, no. Like I had this feeling, I know what this is. And when we fall into the ground and stuff, and me holding at where the lower part of my calf was, and like, because I fell down, because like I gave like the signal of like holding my part to just kind of like stop everything, so people can come to me, because I knew something horribly went wrong, and I remember just not wanting to move my leg because I already knew I had a strong feeling of like, oh shit, don't tell me I tore my Achilles. This feels textbook me tearing my Achilles. And I remember eventually, I'm sitting down and stuff, and people checking up on me and checking with me and stuff, checking to see if I was okay. And I'm just like, I'm crying like tears because I'm knowing what this is. With like undiagnosed, like I having a feeling like I fucked my leg up. And I'm just like, this is serious. And I'm just like, I was upset because but one thing I was upset about was like I couldn't end the match on my own terms.
Right.
But then it was just like, there's bigger fish to fry, and this is something like a serious injury that I feel like I got on my hands. And I remember having like me going like hopping to like the sideline where the bleachers were, and trying to have somebody grab my calf, and my foot wouldn't really move. And I'm thinking like, okay, maybe that's something called a Thompson's test. Put yourself put yourself on your stomach, try to relax your leg, and have somebody like bend your leg, just kind of like relax yourself, have somebody squeeze your calf. If your foot doesn't like press down, that means tendon is not connected. That helps you do that. But so I'm going to my playing days. The tournament was over for me, and so we were gonna lose anyway. But hey, we didn't know. This is the first time of something like this happening to me, so I don't know where to go. We go to Fast Med and stuff. They said this one guy takes a look, like we report, like, hey, something's wrong. And he's like, stop you right there. You go to the emergency room because we're not. He's like, and I quote, I don't fuck with that. Like your bread and butter, like your money makers, your hands and your feet, something like that. You go to the emergency room. Okay, we go to like the ER, and then doctors like was saying like, okay, this was like tennis leg or something, like maybe like you tore like something like, your like the muscle belly of your calf or something like that. And I'm thinking, and I started believing in that hype because like I came in there telling them that I might have torn my Achilles, but they didn't think so. Like, and for some reason they gave me an X-ray, I guess just for some reason to make sure like I didn't break anything. And I was putting a splint to like do a follow up, with the orthopedist. I kid you not, and Kacey was there. It didn't even take 1 minute. The main doctor was like, here, he took a look at it, put him on my belly, squeezed calf, looked, like, felt around. Yeah, you tore it. We'll sign you up for surgery. Do you want to do conservative? No, I play sports. Yeah, okay, surgery it is. Sign me up for the next week. And then I went into surgery the next week of me tearing. It was, and then before that. It was like that Friday. I got my MRI, and yeah, they said it was like a couple little fibers of my Achilles was left hanging on. Oof. So yeah, surgery was imminent, and that Tuesday I get surgery. I'm going into the hospital. This is foreign territory for me. When I, get dressed in the gown and lay in the hospital. And when the nurses are rushing in, one getting my vitals, one putting an IV in me, someone like shaving my leg to get prepping the area, and just all these nurses here, and my wife is not there yet. Like she's waiting to come to the back. That's when the shit hit real for me, and that's when I was just terrified because this was uncharted territory, and I was just really scared because I don't know what to expect. And I don't know, and you think of the worst, like, hey, yeah, like what if surgery is botched or something? What if I get an infection? Blah blah blah. Like what happens? But my wife coming in, consoling me because I shed a few tears beforehand because I'm scared because I haven't broken a bone or torn anything in my life, and I start out on hard mode of one of the more serious athletic injuries you could ever have. And what was my saving grace to help calm my anxiety down was my presence of and the kind words and encouragement of my wife and her touch, embrace, all that, and John Taffer from Bar Rescue because I was able to watch TV beforehand. So and
underrated how much that sort of thing helps.
Yeah. Yes. So I have my wife first and foremost to thank. Thank you, sweetie, for easing my anxiety, and thank you, John Taffer. If you ever hear this, you helped out as well, big time.
I think he's one of the 2 listeners.
For real. But the surgery goes well because I remember they put me on anesthesia, and
so right, that's like you're out, right? You're knocked out. Yeah,
I remember being wheeled into the room and stuff. They already had put like a nerve block on me and stuff before they wheeled me in. Had this funny moment where I was like, joking and all that stuff. I was joking around with the staff and all that, and also, quoting like this one thing from a perfectly dubbed anime like that. They're saying, "Hey, what do you want to eat? Yogurt. Top it with vanilla ice cream, raisins." It's like maybe some peanut butter too. And like, what was like one of the techs or somebody was like, what the heck?
One of the techs who had been assisting the doctor who was giving the nerve block.
Yeah.
The original doctor left the tech to go clean up. We were chatting with the tech. He was very nice. And by this point, some of the medicine was starting to kick in. The fentanyl and there was another one.
Ooh.
It was the stuff that makes kind of eases the pain and starts setting in. D is starting to slur his words a little bit, and
I thought I was still with it.
I had mentioned that I was hungry because the show Bar Rescue was still on, and they were talking about some of the food they were going to cook, and I was like, man, I'm getting hungry.
They make that food look good, and the drinks,
did. Yeah. And D started quoting what this line was.
This dumb YouTube video.
He's like, yogurt? You want yogurt right now? The way he said it was so funny. It cracked me up, and he started to laugh as well. It was just wonderful. It was wonderful all the way around. By the time I was told to leave the room and got escorted out to the official waiting room, I had seen him in his hospital gown with his leg popped up. I could hear the heart monitor go beep, 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 as he started to get drowsier and drowsier, and that hit me that, this is for real, for real. I knew it was for real from the beginning, and I had warned him that this was going to be a serious injury based off of what he described, but sitting in the waiting room and listening to the heart monitor, those 2 things were like, oh, okay, this is going to be a whole journey.
Because they had like a TV, like you could see the heart monitors, right? Or see like, you see by name or something, but like
there was a TV in the waiting room that had ID numbers associated with it.
Okay.
So that patient information wasn't revealed, and it listed where you were in each part of the whole process. So in prep, in surgery, in recovery, that sort of thing. And so I was able to see over time as those statuses changed. The scariest part was when the status had changed from in surgery to in recovery, and I had seen other families get called by the nurses to go up to the recovery rooms, but then the ID number disappeared. And then by that point, it was shift changed, so the security guard had left, all of the staff had left and migrated out towards the entrance. So there was nobody in this ginormous, echoey, empty, sterile waiting room. And it was bizarre because while there's lovely art on the walls, there were no reading materials. There was not a book or anything to read except for this one magazine that was very much 8 ways to save your soul, how to incorporate God into your life. And it was so surreal for that to be the only material in this 45 foot by 45 foot waiting room. It was massive. And I'm just kind of hello? So eventually, after a bit, I got a phone call from the doctor saying that the surgery went well. Keep an eye out for a few things. And then I waited some more. And then the nurse finally called me and said, well, he's out of recovery. He's getting all taken care of, so you'll need to bring the car around. So I brought the car around. It's a little bit of a trek since the hospital campus is pretty large.
Yeah.
So I walked out to the car, brought the car back, and then also waited again for an indeterminate length of time until he hobbles out. He was in a wheelchair and then kind of gets placed into the passenger seat. We were given we had a boot at that point because that was what you had been on for a little bit.
Yeah, I was given a boot when I went to the orthopedist, like as a tie over until the surgery.
Right.
Yeah.
We get out of the parking lot and we drive about a mile down the road before we get another phone call from the nurse saying, hey, by the way, you left your boot. So we had to turn around and go grab the boot. And then after that was when we realized we didn't have any hospital paperwork, or we thought we didn't have the hospital paperwork. We did find it later.
It was in my bag stuff.
Yes. We eventually got medication, got all that sorted out because that's always a headache with insurance.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got home, it was like there is a ginormous splint on my husband's leg, and he cannot put any weight on this whatsoever, and I will have to take care of this.
And my leg looked like the Michelin Man.
It really did. His toes were swollen up. The knee was swollen a little bit.
I couldn't feel a damn thing like below my knee.
The nerve block
I couldn't move.
wild.
I could not feel my toes. I could like feel her touch. I could feel her, my wife touching it, but like I couldn't. What you seeing right now, like in real time, I couldn't do this, and it was like a day and a half before I could.
He's wriggling his toes for those of you not able to see his foot.
And
those not watching on Twitch.
Yeah, and like when I went under for anesthesia, like they put this like kind of like this oxygen mask on me for like and told me to count to 9. Next thing you know, I woke up in the recovery room having to pee. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, and so, a couple weeks ago, I had my follow up. I got a chance. It was so surreal seeing them remove the splint from me from my leg, and then seeing the stitches on it. So it just further confirming, like, yeah, somebody went into my leg and repaired it. Yeah. And I'll tell you, it was so therapeutic, like for my wife to like touch it and stuff like that, because I was just like, because I'm basically like pretend like I don't have no leg. Like, I mean, it's there, but like I can't do anything with it.
You can't use it.
I can't.
The reason why I had touched his foot to begin with was the doctor had warned me to keep an eye out for any nerve issues. Yeah. Because he did have to move a nerve around in order to fully repair the ligament. So after he had unwrapped the splint, we were waiting for people to come back and help talk to us about getting the next cast. And so I had went and touched various parts of his heel and the arch of his foot and his toes around up to his ankle and into his shin. Yeah. Just to make sure that there was sensation. I knew that was going to be a potential question. And so I did the full like pressure, gentle pressure, harder pressure all the way through.
But she missed my leg.
Yeah, I did. You have good looking legs. And
it was nice and shaved too. So
it was very smooth. The stitches looked really cool. I was really interested in that. I thought that looked so gnarly.
It was so visceral, but like also reassuring to see, just to be able to look at it, look at the results.
So just to back up a little bit, so they basically, if I'm understanding correctly, your shirt was torn. Maybe not fully torn, but it was torn.
Essentially fully torn. Like just a couple fibers, yeah.
Right. So they opened up your shirt, went in there, and basically stitched it back together so it'll work again.
I think they might. I need to ask my surgeon about it, but I know like typically like when you have somebody, you can take something like a cadaver, like, a piece of like a cadaver or something like that, and use that to like, put in place for the new one. Like,
right.
But I need to check and see on the details on. That's the one thing I forgot to ask him about. Or what were you gonna say?
Yeah, that was my question.
And what were you gonna say, sweetie? Or continue? Yeah.
I don't know that there's necessarily another way to do it unless you're to pull it tight. But that doesn't, like, if you tear it, then I don't understand how you could just pull it together and restitch it without having more damage.
You have to use something you have to use something to bridge it. Yeah.
I think that's what they know if they like.
I don't think that's possible.
Right. Yeah. I don't think it'll like heal if you just go.
Yeah.
So
and then the function would be like, no.
So
I feel like they had to.
Maybe they like tie it off, or I have no idea how that works.
I just remember reading like in like an old book, or like going to school, like use like a cadaver or a piece of like cadaver or something like that to help with that, or something artificial, or something to help bridge that gap.
Yep.
But
I believe that's what they do for Tommy John. They actually take an extra piece of ligament, sometimes from another part of your body.
Yeah.
And then they use that to stitch your UCL back together.
But they didn't use any part of my body, so it had to come from like a cadaver or an external source. So the follow up went good.
You're in a cast.
They put me in a cast, and they saying that this next fall that's coming up this week, they're gonna take this out. They're gonna stretch me out. Tell me to take my Tylenol and stuff before I get there and all that, because it's gonna hurt. And then put me in another cast for another 2 weeks, and then after that, put me in a boot, and then I can start doing like some gentle rehab. So that's going
to be the beginning of rehab, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now I'm healing. It's just healing because it's such a delicate thing.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
The rehab process is long term. So one of the things that we've had conversations about has been, a lot of people think that injuries like this are like, oh, it's 4 to 6 weeks and you're going to be fine. Well, no, you have to rework the damaged muscle because it will have atrophied during its course of healing, and then you have to re-strengthen it.
This is a serious tendon, and there's low blood supply in there, so the healing process is really slow, and you really just need a lot of rest and time.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
and I mean,
go ahead.
For context, I think the version of this injury that I think most people are familiar with is Kevin Durant in the 2019, I believe, NBA Finals, the one that the Raptors won, where he had a strained calf, and he was out for about a month. And there was a lot of it's always weird with KD. There's always discourse. And people were like, oh, maybe he's not playing because he's going to be a free agent and he doesn't want to risk it.
And then that's when he comes with his burner accounts.
Right. Yeah. And but he came out, I think, probably wanting to prove, no, I care and I want to win and I want to be part of this team.
And he was killing it.
And he was killing it. He had 8 points in 8 minutes or whatever. And everybody knows the famous video of he just plants wrong and he goes down, and in his case he missed the entire next season, so a full year. For context of how serious this injury is.
Rehab takes a while. You're only allowed to do low impact stuff at first, and low impact usually only means slow walking.
They say 3 months is getting back to function, like walking.
Right
now. It'd be another 5 at least months to do high impact stuff, getting back to the sport that I love in pickleball.
Yep. And then you have to remember that, okay, so you're addressing the physical part with the muscle in your leg. The other half of this will be addressing the mental part, the realization that this is a serious injury, that you're rebuilding your muscle habits, that you're retraining your ligament, and knowing that this is essentially a marathon injury and not a sprint injury where you can kind of pick back up where you started. There's going to be roadblocks and non-linear healing when you have good days or bad days or increased swelling, or you're going to be frustrated because you went to PT and everything hurts and the next day it's cramped and you don't have any explanation for it when you barely did anything at all. And that's the level to which this injury kind of encompasses your day-to-day life is really, really something. I knew athletes injuries or athletic injuries like this can be career ending, or the career trajectory absolutely changes, but it wasn't until this surgery, to see it up close versus on your TV, it's just a whole different story, because when you're watching on TV, an athlete goes down, you don't see them for a while, and all of a sudden they're right back up again.
Yeah.
You don't see
the cart comes out, they go off the field, they're crying, they wave to the crowd cheers, and then, it's just on with the next entertainment thing.
Yeah.
Right. And then to see this like play out in real time, it's so much, because I'm watching someone who I am deeply in love with, deeply invested in, hobble around on these crutches, barely able to like maneuver basic tasks, and I have to cover for those tasks. I'm essentially a giant fetch quest right now for a lot of things.
My nurse.
Yes. That's not a bad thing, as it is. It's a life change, and it is adapting to what that looks like, and there will be more adapting in the future when he moves to the boot, and more adapting when he starts the physical therapy. And I think a part of that adaptation will be making sure he doesn't overwork himself, and making sure to
because I
hold him back when he's so eager to get better.
I don't know. I'm like dang, what's this? Al Pacino and Andy
I really know what I'm gonna say.
I don't, but I have. It's gonna be like kind of like, it's just gonna be all over the place. But my experiences of it, like, this is and will be the biggest test that I've ever faced in my life, because it's something when my favorite part of my body was my legs, because I could run, I could jump, I felt invincible with them. And when something like you cherish dearly, like you felt like was your superpower, all of a sudden tears, and now you're down to one wheel, and all of a sudden your whole life changes. Like, it's like the simple stuff, like trying to do my morning routine of like brushing my teeth, me having to stand on one leg and putting stress on that leg and on that foot. I had mentioned to you that off the mic, but it's just things that you thought were things that were automatic and you didn't think twice about. Like the first reality of it was like, okay, I could only do like what amounted to like a sponge bath for like, a day and a half. And then the first time trying to take a shower, when with the heavily wrapped splint, I can't get it wet at all. And I literally have to figure out, it was actually like when I was coming from the ER and stuff, and my wife put me in check, like, hey, do you want to find a solution? Like, because like telling me like, hey, I can complain, or I can, find a solution. I can complain, but eventually I have to find a solution to like how I'm going to take a shower.
The agony is there. The agony is real, and I want to make sure I hold that grief in an appropriate space. Mm-hmm. At some point, you'll have to set it to the side and look for creative solutions to the most basic stuff, because otherwise you're going to sit and be miserable and be stinky, which I know you don't want to be stinky.
Yeah, my OCD, yeah. And then like, taking a shower and stuff like that, with the wrap, like after the surgery and stuff, having the experience of like, showering without getting in the shower. But it's just like, my instincts is, I want to stand in the shower. That's the most effective way I can wash myself off the way I want to be. But then this compromises have to be done, or I have to do things very differently. And also, you mentioned earlier, like, hey, a pro athlete, goes away for a while, and then they, they keep it moving, but then eventually the athlete comes back. We don't have millions of dollars to just squat on.
No.
We're civilians. We got to go back to work.
Oh, yeah.
So when you realize life doesn't stop because you had a serious injury, and you have to figure out and navigate how the hell are you going to get back to work? How's your body going to respond getting back? How are you going to be physically and mentally? Like, I came in, it was like tail end of a week, 2 days. Okay. It's kind of tiring, but okay. But then that first full week going back, By Thursday, my body's tired from just hopping on my crutch. New week, this past week, by Thursday, my body's tired, physically and mentally, because all I want to do is like, I just want to walk to the printer. But every time, like, if I forget something, like, hey, I get something, I do this, oh, I forgot something. Gotta get back on my crutches. Go back. And it's just that all day. And then it really hits home when you're trying to pee or do number 2 and trying to rethink how that works, trying to maneuver your body in a way so you don't fall, and B, things you thought that you didn't think twice about, was second nature, you got to rethink how to do that. And you got to come up with ways of, like, for example, I use my backpack, like that has like a sash, to carry, that I can put, across my chest, to load stuff in there, like, put like a water bottle in there or my Nintendo Switch or whatever to carry it, because my hands have to be free from my crutches. I can't hold things with that. Like, if I had my other use of my leg, cool, but I can't. These crutches are going to have to be like my Cadillac for a while. And it's so nerve-wracking, because all you want, like, forget about playing pickleball. You just want to be able to stand on it. Just be able to put it on the ground. And you can't do that. You just want to be able to take a step with it. Just one. Not like a serious step. You just want to be able to being able to take that one step makes my life infinitely easier. I can't do that. And then having to grapple with that, with a decision I made, playing pickleball, and then blaming myself for this thing happening and going through that grief, because, hey, if I didn't go out and play pickleball, none of this wouldn't happen. I know it's not my fault, but that's just the risk that you take. And then each and every day is a challenge. And then you're just trying to find new and creative ways, like that, like getting that rolling chair from my parents' house, because I have to think about that, because it's still the things that need to happen, like things need to be done around the house and stuff. I know my wife's got me for the most part, but like, she's human, and when she's tired, and like with the medical history that she deals with, there is that eagerness. I want to get back as fast as possible, but due to the nature of the injury, I can't. But I can get creative and come up with creative solutions that can allow me to, like, accomplish certain things around the house while I'm still recovering. Like, as we've been doing, like, throughout this whole podcast, I've had my leg up the whole time, because I have to have it. I got to do that, because I know what happens if I don't.
Yeah, we didn't want to spoil this segment earlier, but we have been. I brought a mobile recording kit to Dee's house, and we set up in the living room so that he could, be comfortable.
Yes, and I really appreciate that.
There's a level of accommodation that you have to think about with every single thing when it comes to this kind of injury.
And I don't want the accommodations. I want my old life back.
But what happens when you don't want those accommodations is that you hurt yourself. And this is a great segue into what happened at a local football game.
Oh, yeah.
We went to a football game, and the campus for the football game was humongous. And I warned Dee that we should probably get ADA accommodated parking to make sure we didn't have to trek the couple of miles it takes to get to the stadium properly. And we ended up in a traffic line that directed us to general parking.
Yeah. With
no shuttles, no nothing. It was just, hordes of people walking and hiking to the stadium across the campus. It was a couple miles, legitimately.
Yes.
Buckets of sweat in 80-degree weather, sunny day, beautiful weather, but truly humid and hot. And it was really difficult to know that while I had done my best to communicate this particular need, there was a desire to want to feel normal from your end, I believe.
And I want to, like, join my family.
Yep.
Because we were meeting family there and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it ended up taking almost the first full quarter of the game for us to get to outside the gate, try to get a wheelchair, didn't get a wheelchair, get into the security line where we could get a wheelchair and get wheeled to the appropriate section. So we get to the section, and then we had a conversation about, do we get ADA seats and tickets for the rest of our family? We couldn't because there's too many people. But we ended up going down these stairs.
I was stubborn as hell, and I was like, I've gotten this far. The one thing that was keeping me sane, other than my wife, was like, I just want to be with my family.
Yes.
And I trekked like 50 steps.
Yes. 50 steps
on crutches.
On crutches down a fairly steep stadium. And
at least they had railings, so
they had railings, and the security there was really, really, really wonderful about trying to accommodate us.
Very.
But the end result was the accommodations were not communicated very well. They were not organized. When we finally were able to leave the game, there was a woman there who helped us immensely.
Yeah.
But the people around us there really is a sense of invisibility with any kind of medical issue.
And that's what I've realized,
to the point where I was shouting at the top of my lungs next to him being wheeled out in a wheelchair.
Hit the note, hit it.
Wheelchair, please move, thank you. Wheelchair, please move, at the top of my lungs, to the point where people were stepping in front of the wheelchair. Even though I was screaming this at the top of my lungs as much as I could.
And you really don't want to bump your leg.
No.
On anything.
Yeah.
No. Mm-hmm. And it was...
I mean, I was in a protective cast, so that it would have been fine, but it's just like, you just never know.
It was a challenge. And nothing short of the challenge that we faced with the shuttle buses that supposedly were running every 15 minutes, which were not every 15 minutes.
It was, the traffic was crazy.
The traffic was rough and everything else. It ended up being fine, but the degree to which you have to really consider everything. We went out to eat afterwards, and there wasn't an easy access to the restaurant we went to.
Oh gosh, because that had steps.
It was four levels of maybe 20 stairs each or so.
Ooh.
And it was...
Maybe like 20, maybe 10 steps each.
15?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
It just... You really start paying attention to what happens.
Everything.
With...
Stuff you take for granted.
Even not accommodated. And people walk on sidewalks all the time and don't realize that the wheelchair ramps that people have, that was regulated in blood. People got really hurt. There was a lawsuit. People fought for this. And now it's a part of everyday life, to the point that it's supposed to be ubiquitous in most places, even though it's realistically not. But it helps more than the people that it's supposed to serve, right? So a person in a wheelchair can now access a sidewalk, but it's not just a person in a wheelchair. It's a woman in a walker. It's pregnant ladies have an easier time. Anyone with a temporary injury, like an Achilles injury, can now do it.
Yeah.
Anyone who has back issues can now safely cross off of the curb. Anyone who is riding a bike just because they need to go to work and don't own a car. Kids who want to travel a city or whatever. Once you help the least of these, the whole community is lifted.
Yeah.
And it really...
That's right.
I have tried really hard in my own medical history to pay attention and be an advocate for myself and for other people that I see, but this is really challenging me to speak up in ways I've never spoken up for, watching my husband go through all this stuff to the doctors in the ER, asking a billion questions of the urgent care guy, making sure that we have questions answered with the orthopedist that we see, the orthopedic surgeon, following up with nurses and thinking of as many questions as I can that's both scientific and also kind of funny. Like, when do we get to have sex again? Is it safe? What do we do? Like, everything.
Great question, by the way.
Everything gets reconsidered when you have an injury that's this serious. And it just really opens up your eyes when that happens.
And I come from... My mom jokes about this, insert last name here. That's that so and so for you. My family surname of being equivalent to stubbornness.
Yeah.
I have been knocked down several pegs when it comes to ego.
Yes.
And knowing when to ask for help and stuff, because they say it takes a village to raise a child. I think it also takes a village to help the injured.
Yeah, and to go to a stadium where it was largely fit, athletic young people, and to know there are only a handful of people being accommodated through the ADA stuff for a variety of reasons. It really just demonstrates how focused we are culturally on the young and the fit.
Yeah.
And how little of a focus there is, or little regard for people who are different from that in any capacity.
And we're still young and fit, but it's just like, it was just a harsh reality check. Go ahead.
That's it. Like, that's what it really comes down to.
I was going to say, like, I forget if it might have been Kacey who said it earlier about, like, when that happens to athletes, right, they just disappear for a while. And it literally is that entire process of them essentially going through what is a temporary disability for serious injuries like that is completely invisible. And, sometimes a guy comes back and there's like a little mini documentary on like Sports Center or whatever,
30 for about this injury,
and it's like a 5-minute little, but it's like 5 minutes. It's like a very short little like fluff piece about a guy triumphing adversity, and really is not going to show you like the tears and the struggle and the getting discouraged and the wanting to give up.
And
right, like obviously because they want to like make you feel good, but
you're right.
It just doesn't show all of that. And I think, for everyday people like us, like
and everyday people, sign the Family Stone right now, like, because funny you mentioned that, like, no one's making a documentary about me. The only person that can make a documentary,
kind of are right now.
I mean, we're documenting it, yes, but like the only people that's going to do it is me, my wife, or anyone who's taking a picture or recording a video or like audio. That's all I have. People see me like, okay, like people at work or something, like they probably see me like, hey, get around just fine and all that stuff. But they don't know the grind that I have to go through every day, and that I will have to continue to go through. And it's just going to be, I've shed my tears. I've shown my frustration because all I want is just to get back to normalcy. But it is going to take time. Were you going to say something?
It just really struck me as funny that, like, people in your office place, they see you holding on your crutches and you're doing great, but really you're just so pissed in the bathroom being like, I can't stand on my leg. How do I be?
I can't. It's like, it's hard for me to shit, man.
Just the
straight up, people don't talk about it, but
and also it can be dangerous too, because like the things that people don't think about or know about. When I get up in the middle of the night, it's pitch black in the room, and I have to pick up my crutches, and then I have to make, and like when you get up, in the middle of the night, you feeling kind of groggy. You kind of have to make sure you're coordinated, because there's times where I've nearly fell. But you have to go there because you really gotta pee and stuff. And it's like, feel things get you more urgent. I feel like things more urgent when you're injured, because like as soon as I get to the bathroom, like it's like almost close. But you got that. Going to like public places. I'm afraid to go to public bathrooms because a lot of the times, a couple of instances where I've taken my crutches to public bathrooms, those floors are wet. Which means the base of those rubber bases are slipping, are sliding.
Oof.
Yeah. So
really risky.
It's things like that you just, and then
right. Every average person steps, we'll just say wetness. Steps through it and is like, "You gross," and goes on with their day.
That can like,
unless they drop their phone in it.
If I'm not, but the stakes are much higher because I could slide off and I could hit my head.
Yeah.
Or I could re-injure my leg. These are the things that you don't have a reason to think about. Because I got my body's functioning just fine, and I'm young, I'm fine, I'll be okay. Well, right now, things are not the most okay. Like there's times where I have been a little bit depressed with the situation, and I'm gonna have more bouts with that. I'm grappling with my stubbornness. I'm grappling with a lot of things. I told my wife about this. Telling Kacey last night about it. sometimes I have to, like, and already she's seen me have my moments, like when I'm trying to get ready for work and stuff, and I'm already done work myself tired just trying to get dressed. And then like, damn, do I have to go to work? But I have to go to work because that would mean taking a pay cut to have the time to recover and not have to worry about working. But that's not an option.
Commentary about about insurance and why insurance shouldn't exist the way that it does now, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for another day, but American medical insurance is a travesty.
Yeah.
We have good insurance for what we have, and it's still difficult to work with.
Yeah.
They've thrived by making money off sick people.
I thought it was more of like I thought this case would be more like workplace and benefits.
Workplace benefits.
That too.
Yeah.
I think that's all tied together.
Yeah.
100%.
But like, I was telling Kacey about this like last night. This is one of the times I've had my moments. Sometimes I feel like I'm allowing myself to have moments to cry, to be angry, to do all this stuff. But I was telling Kacey that people see me strong, they see me doing this and that, but when she falls asleep, when I'm laying in bed, I'm alone with my thoughts. When people are like, hey, when there's no people around to say, hey, let me get that door for you. Hey, let me go here. Hey, let me come to you to help record this podcast. After the dust clears and everyone goes home, or I go away from those people, every night, it's just me versus my mind and my spirit. Or times when I'm by myself trying to navigate getting in and out of my car and stuff. And if there's no help involved, how do I carry myself? How do I will myself to keep going day by day when I know each day is going to be difficult, when I can't use my leg, when it would make things infinitely easier? Where do I go from here? I make the choice every day to not give up and to keep grinding. It's just going to be a grind. I'm a running back that's having to do like 1 or 2 yard gains, and and then sometimes get tackled for loss for 2, and then I'm like, that'll be the setbacks, huh?
By Aaron Donald.
Yes, but
Callback.
Yes, for real. But I have to, as Kacey was telling me, I have to trust the process. I have to Sam Hinkie this. Like, in all seriousness, this is, as she said, this is a marathon, not a sprint. I want this shit to be a sprint so fucking badly because I don't like this. Like, it was cool for a day having this cast on, but afterwards it got old. I want out of it. I want to be able to walk in. I want to be able to stand again. I want to be able to do the activities that I used to be able to do. But that's not my reality. My reality is you figure out the best way you can of how to do what you can, like in your what you could do in your normal life, but also figure out how to get better. And things get discouraging, that's okay. But you just you can cry about it, be angry about it. Okay, now get back on the horse.
You gotta believe.
Gotta believe. Parappa.
Parappa the rapper.
I have 2 things that I want to say.
Go for it.
First off, I just want to say thank you for being, I think fair to say, the most vulnerable you've ever been in front of a mic.
This is as vulnerable as it gets.
No, it is. It is. But
other than my dad dying, this is the most vulnerable I've been.
But you certainly didn't have to do this.
I wanted to because I needed this record.
Yeah, and you volunteered to do it, and I think I genuinely think that, like, for the people that listen to this show, like, again, because like sports is what brought all of us here. It's what formed. It's what informed a lot of our friendship over the years,
and also just being fun people to be around.
Yeah, the people that we know that listen to this and all that stuff. It's all it's all kind of interconnected by sports, and I think that is, the injuries are just so intertwined with again, it's like physically doing a thing with your body. People are going to get hurt in various ways. And like, I don't think anybody understands. I mean, plenty of people have broken a bone or whatever, but like, I don't think people really understand what like they get wheeled away and they disappear, like what they go through. And yeah, I think all those dudes are going home and probably having the same conversations with their partners, like, what am I going to do? Like, how do I navigate this? So I just want to acknowledge that and thank you for like giving everybody, and again, I hate that it comes at such a horrible price, but like that you're giving us, this insight and this perspective that like very few people have, because very few people have gone through this.
It's an equalizer in a lot of ways now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, these, $1 million athletes have tons and tons of money and support in a lot of ways, and yet they're going through the same crap that Dee's experiencing right now, and
are expected to come back at a high level.
They're expected to come back at a high level. Dee is,
I just want to be able to walk again.
Yeah.
When Tom Brady tore his ACL, he also had to go home and be alone with his thoughts in the middle of the night.
He carries, and would still probably admit to carrying, a lot of that pressure on himself to maintain the same level of greatness as he had before. And in the last couple of seasons, especially when he was playing on the Buccaneers, there was a lot of internal pressure because of the chaos that went down with Belichick. Leaving the Patriots and that team behind. He was the face of that franchise forever. Now you're in this completely brand new team, completely different team culture, completely different coach. You've got something to prove. You have all these older injuries that you're going to come back and haunt you. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but when I sit and really think about what all of this means, they still have human bodies. They still bleed. They still have stitches. They still have pain and whatever it is they experience. And honestly, whether you make $1 million or, $35K or $18K, at some point, there's a level that's kind of like a universal experience. You're overcoming this injury and you've got to really wrestle with it.
Here's a perfect example. I understand more now of why Andrew Luck retired.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He talked about how grueling it was, off season after off season, rehab, and how much of a toll that takes on you, physically and mentally.
That patented Ryan Grigson, great GMing, he was just getting beat to shit every year. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he had some serious injury every season.
I barely want to do this once. And person we didn't think about, we just expected them just to come back as business as usual. Yeah. And doing rehab 3-4 times in those amount of years.
It makes me really sad now thinking about the athletes that are on a really great track and then get completely derailed by injury.
We've seen it. We've seen me and Dan have seen it all the time.
Sean Livingston comes to mind.
Oh yeah, yep.
Trying to think who else. I don't know why that's the first name that popped in my head, but
we see people who are good, but then injuries always take. Hamstrings and Miles Austin.
Yeah,
not torn ACL serious, but hamstring that just never got right. Derrick Rose tore his knee multiple times, and he was an MVP. He was an actual MVP winner.
Was there a pitcher recently going through something with this?
Ohtani didn't pitch this year, partly because he had what I think all assume is Tommy John.
What about the Dark Knight?
Oh, that's a great example.
Yes.
Matt Harvey, who he came up and he was he was having a killer career until he was on the Mets and he was awesome, and he was so famous overnight. And he had, I'm trying to remember all the things, but he had Tommy John once, and might have had a second time, didn't he? Maybe, I can't remember, but he came back and was just, people take it for granted. He came back and was just never the same. And, he was still good enough to pitch in the major leagues for a number of years, but was never the same dude.
You know who's a really great example of this right now? Tua.
Yeah. Wow, we didn't even touch on that at all.
That's the mind as well. Yeah. But then again, he's had a lot of injuries leading up to the pros because he had that major hip injury. Yeah. Oh, what are you gonna say, Bear?
He's just being plagued by serious injury after serious injury, and then successive concussions the way that he's experienced. Right now, he doesn't have firm language, I should say, that they're releasing surrounding his current condition. They're being purposefully, I think, vague about what you're at and what his future intends to be. I tend to have good faith about him and his relationship with his coach. I feel like he's very protective of Tua, but I also don't think he'll sugarcoat the fact that the most recent concussion is incredibly dangerous.
But then on the flip side, you realize how much they are worse off without him.
The Dolphins.
Well, it's also
when does winning and well-being like that? What wins that tug of war?
Well, it's not just winning; it's the money. So
jobs are on the line.
People were kind of laying it out when that first happened. Is like basically he's on the hook for something like 100 and I don't know. He got paid like a massive bonus already, so he has some money. But like, there's a certain amount of money left on the deal, and it's a lot. It's like over $100 million. It's like 150 or something, and it's like so. Because again, there's like collective bargaining agreement that like defines all of these things and what's allowed to be in contracts and all that stuff. And so if he's not medically cleared to play again, like if the doctors say, look, you really should stop playing football because it is like turning your brain to jello, then he'll get some of that money, I believe. I believe that typically contracts are injury guaranteed. Because it would be shitty if like a guy made $20 million a year, tore an ACL, and then got paid $1 million. So generally, that's a thing that agents do to protect players because injuries happen, particularly in football. Football's an insanely violent sport.
And also think of like the college players who got like who get injured before they're on their way to like making the big bucks. And then they bust their knee or whatever, and get nothing.
One of 5 million reasons why college athletes should be paid.
There you go.
That I've been banging the drum on that for many years, and it's finally sort of happening, but really only for the ones that are really famous. But anyway,
still progress.
Yes, it is. But yeah, so if he's not medically cleared, he gets the money. But if he's medically cleared and he chooses not to, he huddles up with his family and they kind of all go, you know what? It's not worth it. I'd rather, be able to recognize my grandkids' faces. Then he basically doesn't get most of that money. He forfeits most because if you retire, you generally forfeit the money that's like left that's owed to you. That is not guarantees.
Isn't that what Andrew Luck did when he forfeited like his bonus, signing bonus or something that year?
He did actually pay like part of his bonus back to the Colts. And I don't know if he was legally required to do that or if he just chose to, but and I mean, knowing that, I mean, I don't think anybody has any, like, he's going to be medically cleared to play at some point. And the NFL, I think they said the other day, the NFL is like saying that they're not going to mediate whether he plays or not. They're punting that decision to the doctors. But it's like,
that's signing off, like basically handing over liability. It's a very pilot decision.
Yes.
They're washing their hands of the situation and leaving it solely up.
And they were very, because there's always a little bit of a question, like, because a lot of the team doctors are literally team doctors. They're on the team's payroll. And a big thing with the concussion stuff that came out years ago is they have an independent neurological consultant that is not on the team's payroll. So theoretically, again, at least this is their reasoning, theoretically, they don't have an incentive to want the player to play and the team to succeed and therefore get paid. But is that really true? They're still in the employ of the league in some capacity.
So there's no incentive truly for any of the doctors to be completely honest about athletic injuries. And into a situation, there's every incentive financially to be like, yep, I'm totally fine. Let me just play a few more games to be able to receive the bonus.
They call that the squeeze.
The money as much as he is able to do. But ultimately, the NFL is washing themselves of any liability handling that situation, even though arguably they know perfectly well what they're doing is absolute crap. And there is decades upon decades of them knowing about this and hiding information about it. You know, there's a lawsuit still in works from like 25 or 40 or something retired athletes that are saying, you did not warn us of these concerns and you did not support us in the aftermath. How this is what our contract said and you were supposed to and you never did. And they're still working out through the plaintiffs what money is going to be awarded to them because they can't seem to negotiate either a settlement or a conclusion to it.
Among other lawsuits like Toradol and other stuff.
There was the big concussion lawsuit years ago that got settled. That was like the most publicized one. And that one...
Ask Jim McMahon about that.
And that's the thing. In that one, they paid out, in massive air quotes, like, a number that's like, oh, okay, yeah. In the millions of dollars. But like when you actually do the math and like split that money up between, because that was a large lawsuit of like a bunch of former players, and you split the money up between all of them and consider again that all of them are needing like ongoing like medical care and things that are
fees are being eaten up by this money
and legal fees, and like the NFL's pension plan for a lot of older players is not great, and a lot of these are guys that played in like the 70s who didn't get paid that much in their careers anyway.
And also I would like to hear like in a later podcast about the NFL. The NFLPA is not great.
Yeah, they're not. They're the worst. They're the worst union in all of major sports.
Yikes!
And if I remember right, the NFL did not have to basically admit in that settlement that they did anything wrong. That was the other thing. They paid a bunch of money and then got to essentially punt on liability.
So hush money, basically.
Once again, they absolve themselves of the responsibility for their own sport.
The shield always wins.
Maybe this is a topic for another podcast.
Yeah.
It's such a big topic, but it boils down to how the players feel used, even though they both love and are obsessed with the game. There's also huge penalties to the game. And when you're asking someone to sacrifice their body for your own entertainment, where's the line in caring for them and realizing it's just a job? Right? This is their livelihood. This is their passion. They're the cream of the crop. They're the 0.1% of the 0.1% that gets there to this extreme sport. And in order to do that, you have to have huge egos, determination, and grit, and everything else. And it's so easy to immediately drop out and have someone take your place, whether that's due to your own, decision making off the field, whether it's an addiction that's causing a problem or injury. Like, there are people ready to replace you, so you just have a machine. It's a war machine of sorts.
And you can make the case that's anything. Like even like regular civilian jobs. You mess up, or you tell them, bye, Felicia. By next week or so, they're training somebody else. Or like, from an athlete perspective, like think of the WWE, like wrestling. It's like, hey, one goes out the door, one comes in, or ballerina dancers. Huh?
Off to the glue factory with you.
Yeah, ballerina dancers. They're putting they're putting themselves through stresses like unimaginable, and still continue because they got 5 people waiting for them to like drop down, vying for their spot.
Yep. And I don't know what it says about our society that we are so willing to
win at all costs
for things that we're so in love with and doing and have such passion for, but take such extreme tolls on our bodies.
We're taught to go to the extreme. We're taught to give it everything. But one thing I will say though, like in the closing of DeeTalks is, and my wife has told me this, and thanks Kacey for reassuring me on this. When it comes to like injuries or something like that sidelines you, it's key to remember it's only temporary. No matter how permanent it may initially feel, it's only temporary, and that sometimes things in life is a marathon and not a sprint. And focusing on taking things one day at a time And I've been telling people that too. Hey, I just take things a day at a time when I make it work and stuff. But it's a mantra that I need to further live by. Take it one day at a time, and step by step, inch by inch, document my achievements. Because there'll be times where there'll be like either some physical and or mental setbacks that's gonna make me want to give up. I'm gonna need to look at the archives and be like, okay, these memories I've left. Be like, hey, no, look how far you've come. Look what you've been able to do. Hey, think of all the creative things that you've done to like go about your day-to-day stuff. Be proud of that. Use that as your fuel to keep going. And no matter how hard things get, you are more than capable of handling this. And being an inspiration to not just for other people to see you like, recover, but be an inspiration for yourself. It's like, I told Kacey this, my greatest fear was tearing my ACL or my Achilles. Like that's like the worst thing I can imagine like physically happening to me. Well, here we are. Here I am.
And you've already gone through the surgery, and now you're working on the physical recovery. And, there are chances that maybe you'll develop a chronic thing with this, but ultimately, it's learning how to retrain your mind and your body. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a humbling, challenging, and yet deeply magnificent journey in the sense that you're going to intensely grow. Mm-hmm. And I find that I look forward to the other side of this process where eventually we'll make a podcast about looking back on, hey, guess what happened when I injured my Achilles? We look at it in the past.
I envision myself being a wrestler making a triumphant return.
That's right. You can make yourself your own 5-minute mini documentary. We'll take some clips and we'll stitch them together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great idea. I'll maybe set a calendar reminder, and in like 8 months we'll check back in.
I think that'd be wonderful.
And that was the other thing I was going to say earlier that I want to say directly to you, and I guess, to you, and I guess our listeners get to hear it too, but you are like one of the most like intensely passionate people that I've ever met. You really have you like wake up every morning and you just like attack life, like in a positive way, I guess. Like you're like just always like hungry for it, hungry for more, hungry for, new experiences and doing new things. And like, you got this injury because you were like doing something that you really love and that you like rediscovered and came back to, and were like doing a thing that is like enriching you and, giving you cool memories like we were talking about last time. Like, and yeah, you will walk again. You will run again. You'll probably play pickleball again. It is the classic, like, this too shall pass. You're right. It is temporary. You're like just tenacity with which you like approach life is going to carry you through this.
You need to know balance and like when to ease, step on the gas, and when to ease off of it.
Oh yeah, no. You're not going to just like tough guy your way through the entire thing, and I think you understand that now.
I'm trying to. I can't. I just can't.
Just like I can't. Nobody can do that. Nobody can do it all alone, all themselves. And I, for my own part, like I am a fiercely independent person. I hate relying on anybody, and that says more about me than it does anyone else. But like, I don't know how I would cope with something like this. I really don't. And it's made me think a little bit too, like, about the village I have and, who I can rely on. Yeah, absolutely. Like you've struggled and you've doubted yourself and you've probably wanted to give up at times, but I think you already have more than you think you do. You've brought with you what you need.
Time will tell, because I'm on the early stages of it.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I will say too, like, example, my mom is the most independent person I've ever known. And when she was sidelined with the injury she had, she what felt like the first time in her life had to rely on help. So if she can, rely on help, so can I. It's no shame in doing so.
It's not.
If she had to, then I need to make sure that I do as well.
I think that's a good note to end on, that ultimately we may experience life feeling like we're alone, but there is a village out there when you reach out for help. And sometimes it takes a lot of courage to finally speak up and say, hey, I really need some support. I need some assistance. And that can be hard to find if you don't feel like you have a village around you. Mm-hmm. Odds are there are more people around you that want to help or aren't sure of how to help. And the easiest way to find out is simply just say, I need it. I need help. I don't know what it looks like, but can you come over? Can you text me? Can you just check in with me once a week? Can you pay for a meal? Can you come to this doctor's appointment with me? Mm-hmm. Can you just sit with me? You don't have to do anything. Just sit with me today. I just really need someone nearby. And I think that's a really important lesson, not just for athletes, but for all of us ultimately.
Yes. We've been banging the drum for years.
Yes.
To be mindful of that thing and to not be afraid. And that was like our whole detox last time. Yeah. Well said, my friend. Both of you. Well said, both of you.
Well said.
And Dee, I want to say again, like, thank you for being vulnerable. And I know part of it is you want to document this. And I think that's part of why we keep doing this is, I went on a project recently where I went back and remixed a bunch of the old episodes. And so in that process, I was listening to them again. And it was like a wonderful like time capsule of like who and where we were at that time and us just like, chopping it up and being stupid together. And I was going through some really difficult times during a lot of those early years, like 18, 19 was like a very, very difficult time in my life.
Something like when you have that nostalgia and you can pinpoint where you were, like, oh yeah, this is where I really had a rough time.
Yeah,
and it's bizarre, like going back to that and you like transport it back to those times.
But it was like interesting, like hearing myself in that era that I think of as being so terrible and like talking and laughing and like being in a good mood. And I was like, okay. Interesting. Was still capable. And, years from now, we'll look back on this and be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm. Here we were laughing and joking around and like having a little bit of a cathartic moment. So
where I get to say thank you because I'm not a person that remembers to document things. And having recently learned from my own medical problems and struggles and things like memory loss, having something like this is a gem. And the fact that you spearhead this is incredibly important. It does take a great deal of work. And I want to just point out that this is a huge value.
No doubt.
You are an incredible person to do it. You're an incredibly talented person to do it. You have so many gifts that you give to the world freely and with so much passion and care and love. And maybe it's cloaked in heavy metal, but that doesn't make it any less valuable or precious. I cherish you as a person. I cherish your gifts as they are. And I just want to say thank you for providing this for us.
Heavy metal and cynicism.
Yeah.
It's like a massive amount of cynicism there too. But that's also just who I am.
Turning the love and the good vibes back to you.
Thank you.
Straight up.
It is said and documented. So if you are in a bad spot at any point in the future, you have this recorded from two people who deeply care about you. You are important, you matter, you're valuable, your skills matter, your music matters, your podcasts matter. It's all a wonderful, true, real thing in this crazy, crazy world.
Yeah, and so when you're done listening to this, rewind this track, close your eyes, and picture me rolling. He knows who that's from.
I genuinely I just like doing this and all of the like mundane shit. Like I like editing. I enjoy it. I like get myself a coffee And I just sit there for like 3 hours in front of my computer, like just doing the thing that I love and that I was born to do. And you can't complain about that. Like, that's just awesome. And I love doing it. So, and I love both of you. So I appreciate your time.
I love you too, man.
So welcome.
So I guess that's a solid note to end on. What do you say?
I do want to say one more thing before we go.
Like you want to hug anyone, but no, you're not going to?
No. No, and I'll keep it very brief and very vague. But
go for it.
I just want to say that this is probably going to be the last recording we do for, I would say, probably the next month.
Okay.
Just conservatively, we tend to average about one of these every, 6 weeks or so. So
right.
With that in mind, I just want to say, please vote.
Yes.
I think if you've been around us, and I understand that, like, I'm not going to change anybody's mind about anything, and I'm not actually going to talk about any of the actual thing, but I just want to say, please vote. If you know us and you know what you're about, and you know what we're about, you probably do if you've been here for a while.
Yeah.
You're probably going to vote anyway, but I think we've made it known over the years how we feel about certain things, and I would just say I think it is very, 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 very important. And again, if you know us and know what we're about, you know why. And make a plan. Make sure you're registered.
Yeah.
Because there is this sort of inactive voter status thing where it's supposed to be, if you have not voted in 2 straight elections, I am now on the inactive voter list. I vote in every election. So it's probably just something is screwed up somewhere, but I'm just saying, be on the lookout for shenanigans and check and make sure you're still registered and make a plan. Vote early if you can. They're trying to curtail that too, but if you can, go. And if not, if you have to go on election day, again, make a plan.
Early voting.
Yeah, vote early if you can. All those things. Again, it's going to depend on where you are in the country, but please do it. It's very important, and I'll just leave it at that.
There you go. Vote.
And they give you a sticker. Stickers are cool.
Stickers are great. You should look up the stickers, and I think it's Michigan because they're awesome. And it's a 12-year-old girl drew a picture of a wolf tearing its shirt open with flag in the background. It's great. Look it up.
That's pretty metal.
They had a contest to draw a voting sticker, and she won.
Oh, I love that.
That's amazing.
Vote.
Wow.
All right, now we can go. I just want to say thank everybody for coming out tonight. This is another 4-hour recording session, so
it'll be like 2 episodes.
Again, you'll probably hear this in 2 segments, and that's totally cool. It gives us more crap to throw out there to farm engagement, because that's really all that matters in life.
Hit subscribe. Smash that button.
Like, comment, and subscribe. I might have mentioned this last time, and I apologize if I did, but we are now on YouTube. YouTube now has an automated system where it'll pull from your RSS feed and auto-generate the videos, which is good because I think I did the first 7 or 8 episodes where I manually made a video and uploaded it, and that was
hard.
Way too much work. So I stopped doing it. So all of our crap is on YouTube now. We had I created a trailer thing which shows up on our YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, it shows up in iTunes. That is just a little clip from one of our older episodes. So we have that out there. We do have an email address, which I think Kacey knows what it is. dvdcastpod@gmail.com.
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 There it is. I mean, that episode 3 was 7 years ago? 6.5 years ago?
We do still have that old email address. Don't go on Twitter. There is still a Twitter. Don't go on there.
It's a cesspool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Twitter's
don't
not
do it.
Twitter's not a real place.
We do have an Instagram which has no content on it, but you can follow us there. And I don't know, maybe if I'm feeling frisky in the next few weeks, maybe I'll find us some other types of ways we can have engagement. We do also have our hosting provider, Podbean, actually has a cool thing where it like makes a website for you. So we actually have a website that has a really like snazzy podcast player on it. I don't know why you'd use that instead of like your normal podcast player, but it's there. Yeah, appreciate the time.
What's your line?
Okay, bye.
What's your thing? My favorite line of yours.
I wish I could just hug you all, but I'm not gonna.
Someday he will. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
It's just so charming, though. It's so innocent and charming. I'll be like, yeah, I just want to frame this accomplishment.
Yeah.
You got a cash deck, my guy.
No, what they got to do is just give you like one of those giant like checks. So by the way,
so how did he survive without cashing a check? I'm impressed by that.
I think he just probably was surviving on game checks. It was probably like a signing bonus or some shit. I don't know.
Dope.
But no, so years ago now, I was in a position, and I'm going to be intentionally very vague about this, but I was in a position where I was in like a contest and I won some amount of money.
Undisclosed amount.
Yes, undisclosed. Terms were undisclosed.
Settled out of court.
But it was a situation where the people awarding me the money or whatever were like, hey, can we like get a photo op with you with like one of those big cardboard checks? And it like happened at where I was working at the time. And, they like gave me this cardboard check or whatever. And like we did a thing and they put it on social media or whatever. But like they just like, it's not a real check. It's just like a cardboard thing. And they just like left it there. And so the rest of the time I worked at that company, it was just there, like in my desk area in my cube. And I eventually was like, I just like tucked it like behind my desk, and for all I know, it's still there.
At least you took the real one.
And just like it's just, I don't know.
I mean, you could you could use your desk, like your desk scissors or something. Maybe you could like cut it into pieces, and you could have brought it home and then like made a puzzle or something.
Cut my check into pieces. This is my last resort.
All right.
Let's dive right in.
Take a shot every time Dan says anyway. Oh gosh.
I know. Yeah.
You'll be dead.
I think also if I say take a shot if I say They were
thank you, Larry Graham.
Thank you for letting me be myself again.
There you go.
Thank you for letting me be myself again. Funny story. We'll cut this, but
don't have to.
I went through a phase a few years ago. I was like really obsessed with Slipknot. And Slipknot starts with the letters SL. Sly and the Family Stone starts with the letters SL, so they're alphabetically after Slipknot in my music library. So the album would end, and then it would immediately start playing "Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again."
I mean,
and I would often like that song was so just dangerously funky that I would end up just listening to the whole thing right after listening to Slipknot.
I mean, you were just being yourself by listening to Slipknot, and then like, hey man, so
wonderful.